Josiah.
It's a new month. It's time for a new bit. So I just want to say welcome to the very first episode of Blink 155.
Oh,
it's the first one. It's our first ever episode. It's a new show all about.
And I'm really excited to see if we're going to be able to find enough to talk about to sustain a full 155 episodes. And then what are we going to do? I mean, people have already started asking me, what are we going to do?
Life is measured in 155s. And so since we have passed the initial 155, we do need to do another 155.
It's the only way the numbers work. That's as far as I've ever been able to count.
The universe rests in the balance. I do wonder, like, it seems like a lot of, there's a lot of stuff in the news these days. And it does seem kind of like a lot of bad stuff has happened, but I guess if I could have wished that something really catastrophic did happen, I do wish it happened around the 155 episode. You know what I mean? Like, if it had to happen this year, I kind of wish that there was something tied to that so we could make it about us, but unfortunately...
Right, to sort of imply that the entire sort of universe, like, was tilted towards us ending the pod, like that God was paying attention.
Yeah, I mean, he is, but yeah, I agree. Like, I wish that...
huh, Josiah?
Well, sort of a...
little regressive of you.
Sort of I mean, that's just a loose translation of the Hebrew. So,
right. Hiye, I believe.
It's not Shebrew, so that's...
Oh, wow. Is that the first? That's crazy. I know I can't let you get a joke off anymore. I'm like, is that the first time you've said that? But
is that the first joke I've made? I think it might be.
You've been waiting so long, 35 years of sort of delicately,
And of course, Shebrew is what happens when my wife wakes up before me and attends to the burr grinder and the machine and makes the coffee.
Oh, shit, man. And we got to do 155 more episodes of this?
It feels like we've been potting for a long-ass fucking time already.
We're coming up on 2.5 minutes here.
Good Lord.
I was really excited to jump on the
first
horn.
episode.
Yeah, just this new and exciting thing that we get to explore together. You and I, of course, I don't know if people realize this. We've met a few times.
We barely know
each other. And so this is also going to be an opportunity for you and I to, push and prod at each other's soft spots.
We've already done this meta bit as well. Like, this is truly Groundhog Day. And I think probably at this point, everyone listening hates our guts, even though they think maybe outwardly that they love us. I think they have some sort of primal
They
rage.
would kill us given half the chance.
And they should.
And I would have no choice but to respect it.
We had our first block in maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
That we doled out. We had to block someone this week because of just extreme, I guess I want to say
swim fan energy.
Yeah,
which is ironic because I don't think that was technically what they were a fan of.
Yeah, like swim fan / falling down / I don't know, maybe even some single wife female going on.
Interesting.
Trying to take over.
Yeah, little talented Mr. Ripley, maybe.
Ooh, yeah. There's some dark energy in the air, and I think it's going to continue this week as we talk about something that I don't want to talk about. But before we get into the episode, what are you excited about again? First episode?
I want to just take a couple of steps back here. We blocked someone for the first time in like a year and a half, but I'm not necessarily aware of who is blocking us.
Oh yeah.
So how many blocks
true.
have been enacted upon Blink 155 in honestly, like in the duration of the podcast? Because I don't think I really know this. Who's blocked us?
I actually don't know either. I was just clarifying that we
so much.
I was clarifying that we blocked someone else. I did get temporarily restricted from DMing people who don't follow me on Instagram because I was messaging Tom too much on my Instagram. And that functionality was restricted.
Oh,
and I had to write them a message and say, look, I'm sorry. I'll try not to message Tom DeLonge all the time.
Wait, did you actually have to send a please let me out of jail? I'm sorry for bothering Mr. DeLonge.
Yeah, if you have to, this happens with certain features on Instagram. If you click them too much, they disappear. And that happened to me with this one feature, but I know other people it's happened to like other things, like they just refresh too quickly or whatever.
Wait, then they just don't. Sorry, you like too many photos, and they're like, you don't like all these photos.
Yeah, I think
it feels
so.
like DMs is the only one that they've got to have real and legitimate privacy concerns over and harassment concerns.
I think they're also trying to catch bots, and maybe sometimes the human beings are turning into bots with our phones nowadays.
Little black mirror, huh?
What's that?
It's certainly not. It's not important. I want to find out. I want to use one of those tools and see who's blocked the pod.
Is it? Yeah, I want to see that
because you obviously are blocked
that?
by tons of people. You've been on Blocked Party.
I was on Blocked
before.
Party. I think I was on Blocked Party to talk about being blocked by Mike Bullard, the Canadian washed-up comedian.
I thought I was down by Ontario Place like a couple of weeks ago. I was running, and there was this guy that looked so much like Mike Bullard, and I just stared at him because I was like, if it's Mike Bullard, like I don't give a shit, and if it's not, I'll be past this man in like 30 seconds. And I was just like running and staring, and then eventually got really close to him. Was not Mike Bullard, but he had obviously noticed that because it was like the morning. I was the only person there just glaring at him. Anyway, thought.
He's like, I get this all the time.
Yeah, totally. This man
I look like shit.
Can't walk through a provincial amusement park without someone wondering if he is noted harasser and crowd work.
He was, to be fair,
legend.
he was vindicated somehow.
Was he in the court of law?
How do I figure out who's blocked me without like being hacked?
Yeah, it's always like you have to input your SIN and your birth date, and we'll tell you exactly who's muted you and who has a crush on you from your grade 8 class.
I could see who's unfollowed us, but that would probably be like
that might be
my
devastating.
computer would just explode.
Yeah, exactly. CPU overheats, and also there would be a couple of names in there that would upset at least one of us. Do you get upset when you realize people have unfollowed you, like on your personal account?
Not usually, and I love knowing. Like I do kind of pay attention to that because I like to think about what tweet it would have been that made them unfollow me.
Yeah,
I think we've talked before on here how the Canadian Music Museum, the National Music Center, unfollowed me on Twitter after I tweeted that the artist Burton Cummings combines my two favorite things, Burton snowboarding gear and Cumming, and then Canada's largest music museum unfollowed me, and that was kind of the end of our working relationship for all intents and purposes.
That's tough. And I mean, at that time, you lived in the same city. Like, it must have been awkward for you when you bumped into the museum.
I lived like 2 blocks from there. Yeah, it was a little awkward. I had to cross the street when I'd walk by the museum. Tough, but when I was on Blocked Party too, like I've noticed that when I talk to other people who are like kind of in comedy, they like hearing about how Mike Bullard blocked me. But then when I try to start making fun of Judd Apatow and talking about how he blocked me, like comedians don't want to talk about that at all.
Oh,
I think he's like kind of like a Don, maybe, to comedians. They're like, oh, we don't talk about Mr. Apatow that way.
Yeah, he's done too much for too many people.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's a way to figure out who's blocked us, but I think there's been a mutual block with the last kind of psycho in our Menchies. But this week we had a new one. We had some people who were kind of bummed out by some things. So it's been just an interesting time that I think will continue as we talk about the delicate backstory of this artist this week. I can't wait to be.
This is a good setup.
But what are you've been trying to start saying something, and I keep interrupting you to tell you it's our first episode, and then you started asking me about my Twitter, and I just love to talk about it. So
set you off. Guaranteed easy 10 minutes of content. So I was just watching a show before we started recording, and I think we've talked about it. But
fancy.
Yeah, I know. We've got television.
Mr. TV man.
Yeah. It's pretty exciting. I was Chromecasting to my television, and I love this show. And I feel like if you watched it, you hated it, and I just like wanted to engage and tell you how much I liked it, which is of course the Hulu original High Fidelity.
Oh. Ooh,
did you watch it?
Just canceled today. Thank God. Good riddance to bad rubbish.
They're not doing any more eps?
No, they've canceled it because it fucking sucks ass.
No,
The show
that's
is
not.
so
Oh,
bad.
that's such a drag. Oh. I won't get to see what kind of adventures like new sadder Rob gets into.
I gotta say, I love that white guy that's on every alternative show. He's like every indie girl's boyfriend in every movie, and he's like a lawyer. That white guy, I think his name is Jake. You know what I'm talking about?
the white guy.
Yeah, the white guy. He's like in Girls and in every indie movie.
Yeah, he's delightful.
He's like the indie curious white normie man.
Yeah, totally. He like exclusively plays exactly that character, but only in films and TV shows where that's like an aberration.
Yeah, he's always the guy who's like, oh, I've never been to a bar like this before, but your roommate's band is pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
That show is like every music choice. I was just talking about this week with a friend. I feel like every musical cue in that show is from them like Googling whatever the topic is and picking something from the first page. Because my friend Mila was pointing out they were like making a list of songs about masturbation, and it wasn't until the end that they're like, oh, what about Blister in the Sun? Like the most obvious song of all time. Like all the musical choices are insane. All of the posters in the record shop are like different eras of discount bin posters. Like the fact that like any other TV show, the teens all have incredible indie taste, and then a show about a record store is like shit that you barely remember from 2007, like shit that you threw in the dumpster when you moved because you couldn't trade it in at the record store. It's like
there definitely was a moment. We're 2 episodes in the current episode where Rob comes home and you see, and she's all distraught, and you can see in the background a poster for second week in a row, the newest Superchunk album, which is such a preposterous piece of set decoration. And so it seems possible that maybe the people, putting up the posters were out of their element, but I think she's a delight.
It's this one. Look what I've just sent you. It's this band is like all their records are always in there and all their posters. They're like a band that no one's ever heard of. The band VCR from Richmond, Virginia from 2002.
Yeah. I just assumed I didn't know who this band was, but they put out like a couple of albums on side one, like 15 years ago.
They're just like, it's like they took the promo bin from every Alt Weekly when they went out of business and just like furnished the TV record store with that.
For sure, like based on like, okay, you were in a sort of like, pop punk band in the mid 2000s. It went pretty well, but eventually kind of petered out. You definitely ended up working in film and TV. The reason that there are VCR posters is because for sure Maya and Anatai is like part of the crew on that show.
Yeah, probably.
They're like, it's not going to be a problem. I own all the rights to everything. We can put it everywhere.
And they're like, I'm not doing this because I want my band to be noticed. I'm doing it because I need my fucking spare bedroom back. Just get this shit out of my house.
Someone, please. When I finally threw out like all of my high school band CDs, it was both incredibly distressing and immensely freeing from a physical standpoint.
Oh, I love it. I honestly thought I was going to feel sad like dumpstering 400 7-inches, but it felt so good.
Yeah, it is incredibly freeing. I think in my mind I was like, well, one day I'll be famous and people will want these again.
I've always kept one copy.
Of those things are happening soon.
I've always kept one copy of everything, but lately I've been thinking, I've kind of been getting the itch to be like, what if I just threw these out too?
You'd come on. That's you're talking nonsense.
What if I just put it in the trash?
No!
And then it would be discovered by the girl next door.
Oh, God. This you're having a long pod day, eh?
I'm having a long pod day.
So Josiah,
we didn't even talk. There was like so many actual relevant things we could have talked about in the intro that we didn't, because you wanted to talk about a TV show from 6 months ago, which is
yeah, but it
right.
just the whole time
Sounds
I was watching
about
it,
white.
I was just so excited to be genuinely, because the first episode I was like, this is stupid, but I like it. And the second episode I was like, I really like this, and I know that it would bother you that I liked it. And I wasn't being ironic about, like, I wasn't just like, well, it's shitty, but it's fine. It's like, no, I'm having a nice time watching this.
I
good
definitely
show.
like watched it all and like didn't
but you
look
watch
away.
all of a lot of stuff. I think that for
true.
very complicated reasons that are not enjoying or.
Well, I still think that I can't figure out how I actually truly, like, context and subjectivity aside, I literally don't know what to think of Girls and Lena Dunham, because I think that I still liked Girls in some
was
sort
great.
of weird way. Some dark corner of my brain is like, yeah, this was good, but there's just so much noise and clutter, and like she definitely sucks. But I mean,
Sure, but to me,
whom
though,
among us?
yeah, whomst among us does not suck. Like, you're kind of describing the Hamilton paradox.
No, we're not going there. We're absolutely not going there. That's.
You don't want to do that again?
We haven't done it yet because you're.
Oh,
too
did we do that?
afraid.
Just
I'm saying let's have a debate. Let's have a.
Oh, you couldn't handle it. You're so afraid of being clowned by me.
Look, before we talk about this fucking shit, we got to talk about this week.
We have some good stuff to talk about this week.
There's just some good stuff to talk about first. So first of all, quarantine, erase my memory.
I wish.
We already did the quarantine episode, obviously.
We got that Australian leak.
At the start of the Black Lives Matter uprising, we did an episode about quarantine, but the song
also true?
didn't exist yet. But you should listen to that episode. It's the only good one, probably.
Yeah.
But we did talk about quarantine.
I already forget how it goes, and we sang it to each other like a dozen times.
Isn't it like that? Oh, no, it's like quarantine.
There it is. Yeah, because you were literally just singing it like
quarantine.
Black Rain, which is obviously an important song to reference.
No, it's like the
moving
kids
forward.
are all Dwight, the Office spin-off that I'm working on.
This is like you're continuing a joke from there's no way, like, no one's going to listen to that episode first.
You have to. No one's going to listen to this one first.
You don't think
if
so?
you're listening right now, go give us your money.
Give us money.
Patreon.com/Blink155. While you've got your credit card out, Patreon.com/Globehell, and then just sign up for all of them.
Otherwise,
okay,
this
so
episode is not going to make any sense to you.
we've got the quarantine shit on lock. We talked about the real song.
Quarantine.
We talked about the leak. We talked about it all. That's all there.
Rest my memory. Sorry,
Now,
you
in
got it,
addition
man.
to that, someone who's never endlessly in my menchies and in my DMs, of course, I'm talking about Joanna Newsom, 41. Ivan has pieced together a star-studded Blink-182 cover compilation.
There are some full-blown stud stars on it. It's
Sam Sutherland,
Yeah.
Josiah Hughes,
the biggest studs.
and others.
Additional tracks from.
So Ivan has pieced together a compilation. It's called. I'm logged into the wrong Twitter right now.
Checking those blogs. I didn't know it had a name
so
besides
smooth.
like just the name of
The compilation
album.
is called It's Never Over Till It's Done. It's a full cover album of Dude Ranch. In addition to Sam and I, Joyce Manor is on there. Whitmer Thomas is on there. Lisa Prank is on there. Josiah Hughes is on there.
They got a track from Josiah Hughes.
They sure as hell did. So here's what
Fucking
happened.
crazy.
If you want to hear that, it's going live tomorrow morning for Bandcamp Day, the most DIY day of the month, baby. And that's up. It's going live at dudesranch.bandcamp.com. So Dude Ranch with the S in the middle. Ivan asked us both to be on the compilation a long time ago, and because I don't really listen or pay attention,
I want to
to
make.
anyone,
I think I got to come clean here. I asked to be on the comp.
Did you?
Yeah.
Maybe I did too.
They were tweeting about it, and I was like, oh, I still got like 2 or 3 tracks left, and I was like,
yeah,
that
you know
sounds
what?
fun.
That was me too. But
Okay.
also, like, we should have been asked because basically, Ivan is I mean, let's be honest. Ivan has stolen our idea of like liking Blink-182. That was our
invented
idea.
liking this band.
So that's kind of fucked. First of all,
Ivan, come on.
respect your elders. So
I don't want to think about
so
myself
that's-
as like old though. So just
I reply,
respect us.
you're 35. I'm still in my early 30s.
That's right. You're a wee babe.
I replied to that tweet too. You're right. That's how it worked. We were both like, oh yeah, let's take these last two songs.
I need to be included in the narrative. Yeah.
And then I just kind of like didn't pay attention, and I thought that the song I was covering was a different one. So like a day before deadline, I did an incredible cover of the song "Boring."
Yeah, you sent it to me. I legitimately was like, "How the fuck did you do some of this?" It was so sick.
And then I sent it to Ivan, and Ivan was like, "This is really cool, but you're supposed to do Degenerate." And I was like, "Oh fuck!" So I made Sam also cover "Boring."
Yeah.
So in addition to dudesranch.bandcamp.com, go to blink155.bandcamp.com. Right the fuck now, because we don't respect no Bandcamp day. We'll upload whenever we want. I don't care. They can take my fees. I don't give a fuck.
Damn, you're wild.
But so you can hear both Sam and I covering "Boring" from Blink-182 as well. And then in addition to that, I think that's everything. I don't know.
I feel like you've covered it, but it's very exciting. So you're getting a double shot weekend of Josiah and Sam covering songs from Dude Ranch.
And talking about quarantine.
Arrest my memory.
20 minutes in, have not even mentioned a single thing.
There's
Pretty
nothing
good.
to talk about here. I'm very excited though, because I mean I really did want to put out more music this year. We've talked about this. I mean, we had a Junior Battles record like written, ready to go. Quarantine happened, and that all got paused. And so I personally am very excited to just have, even if it's someone else's songs, like music coming out. And I know you feel the same.
What?
So thank you, Ivan, for the opportunity.
Woo, we're having fun, baby.
I'm having a really nice time.
Me too. So what's up? What are we doing here?
So we're talking about the song "Girl Next Door" by the band Screeching Weasel,
Screeching Weasel.
as covered by the band Blink-182. Josiah, you go first.
I feel like, remember when we talked about the Dinosaur Jr. cover, and then people were like mad at us that we were indifferent towards Dinosaur Jr.? I feel this anxiety that I'm both not going to care enough about Screeching Weasel, but also if I care too much, then it's bad, because I know that
it's true.
The main Weasel Man is kind of a piece of shit. So it's kind of an interesting place to be, but I just got to live my truth. It's our first episode ever, and I am going to...
This is a brave choice for an opening.
Truthful. I don't care about Screeching Weasel. I've never listened to them. Don't really give a shit. I listened to both versions before we started this, and I think the Blink one is way better. And I do think it's interesting because the Blink one really does sound like a Blink song.
It really does. And so you've never liked this band, of course, being the
we
the
can't say their
Wees.
name.
Yeah, the band that we dare not utter. So you've never been into Screeching Weasel?
No, like I feel like people who are older than me liked them. Some of my friends growing up, the people from the band In Stride that I've mentioned before, like Chad and Today's Man is his nickname in hardcore, which is so good.
What do you do to get a nickname like that?
I feel like it started ironically, but then it just kind of like stuck.
Today's Man?
Isn't that incredible?
Holy shit.
Yeah, but before they were in Stride and Bombs Away, they were in a Screeching Weasel cover band that used to play shows in Abbotsford. So like I was around people who liked Screeching Weasel, but I don't know. I think it always seemed too like macho to me, and I've always liked really wussy things. But I guess it's cool that they exist. I don't know.
You've never been into like any of this Ramones core stuff.
I liked some of. I mean, I definitely liked. I've never been against it per se. Like, there's always been bands that kind of are in this realm that I'm not against or anything. But I've never been like, I've never like. I mean, I've seen Teenage Bottle Rocket play before, but I didn't leave and go get a Fonzie leather jacket after.
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen Teenage Bottle Rocket play a dozen times somehow. Yeah. I mean, there are definitely people whose entire beings are defined by exclusively listening to bands that sound like this. And I kind of respect it, as with like any,
Me too.
subculture that you just fully commit yourself to. And I think it's better. I think you take kind of Ramones core, guy one step further, and you are a rockabilly person. And that's too much. But I think if you're going to insist on wearing a leather jacket 365 days a year, probably dyeing your hair black,
because
there's a tremendous amount of product in it.
They're kind of aesthetically keeping it in a high school greaser way, whereas I think rockabilly is more like the guy who's still trying to keep the greaser dream alive after he's finished high school and everyone else has moved on and gone to college and like cleaned up their act, but they're still trying to keep it going, and they're just getting weirder and scarier, and like maybe working a night shift and getting all kind of gaunt and scary.
Yeah, and they don't work with anyone, and so they listen to, like, they started listening to Joe Rogan, and you're like, okay, but then it's like gotten like weirder and weirder, and now they like occasionally shit comes up where you're like, that's too far, man. That's not. Where did you learn that? And it's just like the YouTube algorithm is really damning them to a life of isolation.
Yeah, whereas I think you're right. Ramones core keeps it nice and clean. It's just rock and roll high school. That's it.
Well, and that to me is you've captured it perfectly, because like rockabilly feels like it's this weird yearning for more than likely like a time that you'd never even experienced. Whereas I think the Ramones core thing is fully just being like frozen in time, because it's not a throwback look. Like it really is legitimately one of those like kind of classic, never gone out of style, but never really changed aesthetics. And in that sense, it's way more defensible to dress like that your entire life than to all of a sudden turn 35 and be like, no, I've always loved hot rods and pompadours and like bowling shirts, which I mean, bowling shirts is very high school for some of us, but
this is just like Mickey Mouse t-shirts, Converse, and bubble gum. And those things are like, every few years, those things feel very fresh and exciting again. But then in between, they kind of feel a little bit normy. Like, I think this leather jacket is kind of the mommy blogger leather jacket right now in history. That's fair. But I think it could get exciting again. And you're right. It's just the commitment to the bit is something to be respected.
Yeah, totally.
For sure. And like, musically, I still think it's really interesting sometimes and cool. And it's I'm not mad about it. It's not like I would be like, I think maybe there'd be a time in my life where I would have said I didn't like it because it all sounds the same. But I mean, fuck, man, everything sounds the same.
Oh shit!
We're all just on this rock.
Oh, rocking, just rocking this rock.
We're just rocking. I went to the Ramones museum when I was in Berlin.
Oh.
And I was pretty like, I don't know. I don't really care about the Ramones very much either, but I was
that
like,
place is cool, right? And
yeah, there's just like so much cool merch. Like from a merch perspective, it was beautiful. You kind of like, because it's very Mad Magazine too. I think Ramones core does cross over with Mad Magazine aesthetics in a very special way.
Totally.
And that's why I like Mean Jeans a lot too. Like I think there's just maybe what it is there's so much room for humor in this kind of music. And my understanding of Ben Weasel and Screeching Weasel is that it's like more kind of, it's like funny, but in like kind of like a Gen X way where you're just like trying to just be racist by being funny, or you like hate it like feels like it hates SJWs. The joke is always about like people being an SJW or whatever.
But I also think like on some level that is I don't want to say revisionist, but it is 100% where this band exists today. It's where Ben Weasel exists today. But I don't think in like Boogada era, we're talking about a guy who like railed against PC culture. I think that was a thing.
Sorry, did you just say an album title, or did a 1950s Hanna-Barbera cartoon babe walk by you?
It's the latter. I just like, you didn't see it. My eyes came out of my skull. It took me a second. I rolled my tongue back into my mouth pretty efficiently.
That was quick.
Yeah.
That was very quick.
Humana. Just great shit. I think like that is unfortunately not just like where, I mean, they've landed, but I mean, it's like we're talking about a vessel for like one person, fairly consistent. Like the thing that sucks about Screeching Weasel is you like look back and most of the good songs were co-written, right? And so I just think Ben being like fully in control of Screeching Weasel and becoming the person that they did has fully fucked the legacy of the band. And that's unfortunate because I think now when you listen to it, that is what you hear. You hear like I don't know, like a more conservative version of what, I mean, I was going to say than the Ramones, but I mean, the Ramones had like a famously Republican, punk in their ranks. So
Ronald Reagan.
Very few people realize that before the Bonzo films, he was in fact in the Ramones.
And it's not to say like I don't mind if someone who's like a piece of shit. Oh, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't always, like, you can separate the art from the artist if you want. I do think it's possible, but it's just I've never really cared, and then also it does have that kind of sneering Gen X-ness that really turns me off. And I think it's because the only song I remember is the one that's like, it's a real cool club, and you're not a... And that just makes me think of, like, Gen X people, like, hating, quote, hipsters.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, I'm usually on the side of the hip people, I think.
I also think it's fine to do the kind of separation of art and artist thing. I think what is difficult sometimes about Screeching Weasel now is that the line is very blurred with this band today, because on one end you're like, I really don't care. I don't care if like a musician has an opinion I happen to disagree with. But it goes further, obviously, with Screeching Weasel, and it's like, I feel like as a result, it's much easier to just kind of not, because it's honestly just, I think it's too complicated to unpack, unless the right answer is literally just like, fuck Screeching Weasel forever, which I think is a perfectly defensible position. But unfortunately, it happens to also like not be mine, and I feel incredibly compromised by that.
So this has been your long way of saying that you love Screeching Weasel and you support them.
Yes, I've got a Screeching Weasel tattoo. No, I mean, I think so. I think
sorry, that's the other thing too. Is like I don't really have. I'm just kind of talking based on vibe. Like I don't even really know much about. I know that he like the South by Southwest thing seems really sketchy, and it does not feel resolved in a way that I feel very comfortable with.
No,
in terms of him like. His reaction to what happened.
That's the
and
problem.
His statement after, for sure, that feels
the
pretty
whole
shitty
band
to me.
quit. Like the whole band quit.
Yeah, but then also like even just like the Screeching Weasel logo, like to me it seems like a like Disney villain in like a bad way, where I'm like, oh, this looks like something not nice to me. I want Ramones Corvette's Mickey Mouse logo, not mean Weasel Man.
Too cruel.
So just kind of like vibe based, just everything about it has just always been like, I'm not going to get into this. And this song about whining about people being too cool or whatever. I mean, maybe the song's not about that, but no thank. Isn't there a Jawbreaker song also about like not liking cool people or something?
Yeah, that's like every Jawbreaker song.
Yeah, it's just like, come on. Cool people are cool. That's the whole point.
We're jealous. That's why you wrote a whole song about them. We're all jealous of cool people.
Just calm down, you big nerd babies. But anyways, that's all I'm trying to say is like, I'm not like, fuck Screeching Weasel. I'm just like, I don't care enough. Talk about it, but at the same time I have to, because I have signed a deal with the universe to do another 155 episodes. So please, you're saying you do like Screeching Weasel, but you feel conflicted.
I have two thoughts. One is that just jumping back to the Ramones core thing, it's because I guess this week's guest, or probably this week's guest, because you haven't done it yet, so I'm not sure. But I think there are bands that what is so interesting about this very, very like hyper niche kind of subgenre within pop punk is what you can try to do with that like just rigid set of parameters, which has always been the appealing thing about any subgenre. But I think this, as this sort of like sub of a sub, you end up with these bands like Chixdiggit who are just writing perfect pop songs inside of such a fantastically rigid structure that it can be really exciting to sort of see what a great songwriter is capable of doing.
I feel like it's also like along those lines, it becomes like a vessel for comedy writing even. And that's where it also feels like when you just like, when someone's using their comedy writing to be like kind of annoying and shitty, then you're just kind of like, okay, well, whatever. There's a million other bands that sound exactly like you, but the lyrics are funnier or more interesting.
Yeah, like I've spent the last couple of days just listening to Chixdiggit so much because we've been talking about them. And, very funny songs about caller ID. Like, what the fuck? How do you succeed in doing that? Like, you have to be such an actually funny person and to write a catchy song about those phones. I mean, just fantastic shit.
I always think of. She said she used to model for J. Crew, but I don't know what that means. That's so funny. It's like genuinely hilarious.
Yeah,
lyrics.
KJ is like. I mean, I think one of the like just genuinely funniest punk songwriters. Maybe I think I've never really thought about that, but I think I mean that. And
because it doesn't feel like it's joke music. It's just like songs that are cool but funny.
I mean, the first thing that when you and I were talking about it, you just chatted GeoCities Kitty to me. I was like, yeah, that's so funny. What a fucking great phrase to write your song around.
Yeah, I think it's like maybe it's because Ramones core kind of stuff is so inherently silly too that like when you try to make it not silly, then it just feels uncomfortable. Maybe.
Yeah, and so it's interesting to think about on some level, even though they're not 100% kind of existing at the same time. Chixdiggit and Screeching Weasel sort of being very much part of the same kind of continuum of like I guess Screeching Weasel late 80s to the 90s, like 90s kind of throwback Ramones core, and how different the Screeching Weasel sense of humor is, but like how infinitely more misanthropic Screeching Weasel is. And I think that probably is a result of like coming out of a out of hardcore, really, right? Like being a band like in the mid to late 80s to start versus like being a band in Calgary in the 90s. Like it just seems like maybe it would be slightly different vibes, although I'm like how shitty was it in Prospect Heights, Illinois in the late 80s? Probably not that shitty. But still, like the music that would have been like, I guess, popular,
Yeah. I think when you said hardcore, I just thought about it too. It's like, I think people like Chixdiggit, I can just picture them like playing a hall show and all the serious hardcore people being really bummed out and annoyed by it because it's so silly and fun. Whereas I feel like Ben Weasel maybe gives me the impression that he's still trying to be a hardcore guy playing in a pop punk band.
Yeah. I mean, somehow like one of the most embarrassing things that I think I saw Ben Weasel do, and I do think we need to address the fact that like, because all of this conversation about this band is happening under the specter of, first of all, I think we should describe the South by Southwest thing, because I don't know that everyone who listens to this pod was like paying attention to punknews.org at that time.
Yeah, I feel like you were you there? Or
I wasn't at the show, but I was in Austin, and we had friends at that show, like friend of the pod, Chris Cresswell. I think the Flats like played that show because it was a Fat Records showcase. But I mean, the sort of short version of it, as far as I can remember, is basically that they were playing. I think they were the last band, and the people were throwing shit at Ben, and this was like he had already kind of become like a little bit of a, I think, enfant terrible, and the crowd was getting angry, and he was getting angry at the crowd, and it like felt like a really bad vibe. And then at some point, I think he said something fucking stupid. I wish I could remember what he said. And then like people were kind of charging at him, and someone on stage like grabbed him from behind, and he turned around and hauled off and punched a woman in the face. And his whole thing was that like he just, somebody touched him and he turned around and punched them, and he didn't realize that they were a woman.
I thought he said too that someone was throwing ice at him, which is just like so funny.
Yeah, I think it was that like this is part of his whole like in crowd out crowd thing. I think he was like, I know that we're not the cool band, and so like he felt like the cool kids were like picking on them and throwing ice at them or whatever. And the show ended with him punching a woman. And I remember like texting Chris being like, "Yo, are you at the show?" Because all of a sudden that was like all I knew was talking about on Twitter, and he was like, "Yeah, man, it was fucking awful. It was fucked." And like God. Literally that night, the entire band quit. Like the former members' Screeching Weasel page is massive. I feel like I'm doing this a disservice by like half remembering the story. Did you happen to be looking it up as I was describing it?
I kind of started and then I just stopped because I don't know. I feel like it's just like it's almost not worth.
No, you're right.
It was like at this time in history, like this was all anyone cared about because like the world was so much simpler back then.
Yeah,
we didn't know about other stuff, so it was like everyone freaked the fuck out about this. But I feel like he was just like, I feel like, again, everyone on earth needs to learn how to apologize, I think, is one thing.
Yeah.
And his apology was very like, well, they were throwing ice at me. It's like so funny. Like, yeah, people especially like, I've had everything thrown at me. It's funny. It's good. Yeah. So I don't know. But then I also know that like since then, I've had friends who've gone to see like MXPX did some shows with Screeching Weasel, and my friends went, and I think he was like just railing against SJWs between songs and stuff.
Dude, this is what's fucking happened is so like this is that thing where he does something that is unquestionably fucked, apologizes for it in a very like father of daughters type way, as I recall. And, you know, like Fat drops them, the band quits. They were about to do like a festival. Every band that was going to play that festival dropped off of it, like a Screeching Weasel festival kind of thing. And the end result of it was not this man like thinking about his behavior and being like, you know what, okay, you know, I didn't realize, but you know, let's talk about misogyny and punk rock. Do you know what I mean?
What happens in Austin stays in Austin.
Yeah, it like radicalized him, and he became this like already. I mean, but as you pointed out from the band's back catalog, this is the kind of guy. He's like in this sense, maybe this is why I fucking related to him. This is like just like a very privileged white dude who just felt absolutely put upon because like some cool kid wasn't nice to him once when he was probably a teenager. And there's like 200 records about how like no one appreciates him or Screeching Weasel. And so I think this just like cemented that insanely shitty worldview. And so he became like, again, it's like guys like him and Joe Queer just became these like rabid conservatives. Like,
so I don't know anything about the Queers either. That's different. Is he in that band too? Is that a different
They were just
thing?
like I don't think Joe Queer was ever in, but I mean literally everyone has been in Screeching Weasel. I don't think Joe Queer was ever, but they're just like very connected. You know, like the same band, same Ramones, same era. They probably shared a bunch of members, and like I'm getting this shit wrong, but like. They're
looking at some of the names. Steve Cheese was a member of
all these
Screeching
guys.
Weasel.
Yeah,
Scott Gubb Conway.
Yeah,
Johnny Personality. Is this fake?
No, this is like what was your Today's Man?
Yeah, that's true, but that's cool.
I know, but Johnny Personality is pretty sick, honestly. And so we played maybe I don't know 4 or 5 years ago. Junior Battles played a festival in, you know, where else, Quebec City, that was headlined by Less Than Jake and Screeching Weasel. And it was honestly sick. It was like under a highway overpass, like just like very, you know, just grimy Quebecois vibes, but like obvious, but also slick contemporary pop punk vibes. So super fun night. No one else in the band gives a shit about Screeching Weasel, so everybody else had kind of fucked off, and I was just like watching them. And Quebec City, as compared to Montreal where you live, is like fairly fucking French. And I've seen some like vaguely amusing sort of crowd interaction sort of missteps, you know, over years of like going to shows there and playing shows there. But this was just like the most alienating performance I've ever seen, where they would play, but Screeching Weasel songs are like a minute and a half long. And like Ben Weasel does his like kind of Ramon stance thing, and he sings, and he, for like a very tall, like he's one of those dudes that you feel like should have like newscaster voice, because he's like very traditionally handsome, like square jawed, tall, strong looking guy, and he's just like, "Thank you, Edward. We're Screeching Weasel. And, you know, all these SJWs are trying to tell me what to say. And when did punk rock become about conformity? When I got into punk rock, it was about being yourself and thinking for yourself. But when you go online, you can't post anything without somebody telling on you to the punk police. What the fuck, punk police?" But he would do that for like 5 fucking minutes. The ratio of this man complaining to music was like 10 to fucking 1. And no one in the crowd understood it. Like it was, you could see the just like glazed over look in all of these French punk eyes, just like no, because he's talking so fucking fast, so high. Everyone's absolutely hammered. It's like an 8-hour festival day, and just like no one gets it. Like, and I found a friend of mine who had driven from Montreal to see them, and we were just like absolutely fucking killing ourselves, because I was like, this is all he can do now. Like the only place that he can play a show like this is in Quebec, because like I don't know where the fuck Screeching Weasel will play in Toronto anymore. I think everyone here, the minute that the South by thing happened, like it's just, they kind of like very much became persona non grata. But like Quebec is lawless. And just like, I've never seen someone so badly like misjudge what people liked about them, and like just be incapable of reading a fucking room. Like, dude, no one cares. Also, you're playing for thousands of people. Like, you are not aggrieved and oppressed.
He definitely would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those I don't know what I'm trying to do, but I do think people would have forgotten by now because we can barely remember the Southwest thing. So he could like, even if he just did his clumsy apology and then shut the fuck up for a bit and then went back to normal, like, what's the big deal, buddy?
Yeah,
it's all right, buddy. This is the weird I don't even know the back context on a backstory because I have no relationship with this music, but I understand also that this is an important band to a lot of people, including Tom DeLonge, who has said that, like, he said this: Screeching Weasel was probably the biggest influence on my songwriting after the Descendants. I absolutely loved that band, and so that's why they covered this song.
I mean, literally, like, the punkest man I've ever met in my life was this great guy named Ken who sold merch for Bridge and Tunnel. Just like a full-on, like, live in a train, skateboard all day, drink coffee all night guy. Really fundamentally, like, nice and good person. Had a Screeching Weasel tattoo. He had a handful of tattoos, one of which was on his arm, like a penguin spray painting on a brick wall. And it's the penguin was spray painting "fuck life." And he had like a skull that was like a $sign being smashed and all these like very punk tats. And then he had the Screeching Weasel logo like in the center of his chest. And as soon as all this shit started happening, I was like, "Fuck, man! Like I feel bad. I felt
but
bad."
Maybe maybe for some people, for like Ramones core guys, maybe he's kind of like a Morrissey type of figure, where they're just like, "Oh yeah, right, he's doing it again." But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Should we talk about the song? I guess. Is that what we should do?
This is a weird song for them to cover because I'll be honest, like I mean, it's not like I'm a huge Screeching Weasel fan, but like because there's just too much material. But the records that I like, I genuinely like. And this song, I was like, what the fuck is this even from? And so this is like from a EP, like a 2-song in '93 that then got added to like a rarities comp. So it's like a very deep cut choice.
Interesting. I wonder,
like, as opposed to just doing like "Hey Suburbia" or one of the hits, right?
Yeah, I wonder what made them pick that. I mean, then again, I've only heard the one about cool people or whatever, and then this song, like, but this one does sound like a Blink song, so maybe that's why.
It totally works. Like, it sounds really good,
and that's why there's a lot of people who think that this is a Blink song and have just covered it and like labeled it a Blink song on the internet too. So. Maybe that's why. I don't know, but I also can't. I was expecting the lyrics to be like funny or something, but I feel like they're kind of nothing.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's a little like reading through it while I was listening to it. It's just like about, but this is ultimately about what suburban conformity. Like that is like every Screeching Weasel song is just like other people are not living their life right,
right.
Or they're stopping me from living my life the way that I want to.
So it's kind of just like about like the girl next door is just like really sad because she has to do the dishes for her boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, definitely that is also when I was a teen. Like we were talking about Adbusters recently. I forget where. But definitely like I would have thought the same thing too. Like, oh, it's just the doldrums of going to work and then doing the dishes. Like life is so meaningless. Why can't you just... go to work and then organize your 7 inches like a punk. That's freedom instead.
Yeah.
Freedom
is organizing your 7 inches. Sounding a bit like Rob from High Fidelity there.
That's true. Top hip hop albums of all time. Go. And then it's like Biggie.
It would be, yeah. There's the scene opened with like, I'm making a playlist about love, starting with Modern Love. I was like, okay. I mean, don't remember, I was like literally one of the best David Bowie songs, but I was happy to hear it.
Even like the Nick Drake Pink Moon drop in one episode, it's like the point of these kind of what happened to music supervisors is like trying to flex their knowledge, not trying to show that like they're on like a sounds of 2000s indie playlist or whatever.
To me, it's just like they must have given it's because Questlove is the music supervisor, like executive music supervisor, so probably didn't like have to do all the
made me
like,
think. Yeah, that made me think though. Questlove's quite a normie if that's the kind of shit he's picking. Like,
yeah, it's literally like I'm sad. Nothing compares to you.
It's like plays. Starbucks compilation music.
Oh, here's the thing, though. Those songs are all good.
They are. It's true, but I think. Or I was trying to think about it too. Like, is it because record store clerks are so actually not cool in real life, and that's why these record store clerks also have just terrible entry level taste, but they're obsessed with it?
Or I don't know. I mean, I think there's like little hints of sort of deeper stuff. I mean, I feel like I've never read the book. Have you read the book?
No.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people read the book. I thought maybe you were keeping some of your reading from me. But I feel like the movie, as I recall, was way more like trying to like drop names for the heads, whereas this one is literally like, yo, you know how fun it is to dance to Dexy's Midnight Runners? And that's true. And I actually appreciate that being, because there's a lot of things about it that are, I think, probably hard to stomach for a 2020 audience, but the notion of like probably record store clerks just also wanting to listen to the songs that are good kind of makes sense.
I don't know. I feel like I guess I just feel like they would be finding things like this song, which is like, whether it was by accident or not, it is a perfect Blink song that they picked.
Yeah, totally.
So I thought, maybe that's them being like, oh, check out this like slick move I'm gonna do and do this perfect choice. Also, it sounds way better than like the rest of Buddha, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really does.
I don't
like
get it.
To me, it's like the closest to like the Dancing with Myself era. And maybe it was recorded in the same session, because it does like sonically sound quite similar to that. Like they went to a studio and knocked off a couple of covers.
Wait, did they? Okay, no, never mind. I was like, did they add lyrics? But there was an ad. For some reason, my ad blocker is off. It's fucking everything up.
Damn, what are you trying to feed the machine?
What happened?
You do work on your job is partially supported by internet advertising.
Yeah, but I feel like if I'm getting the ads that they're paying us for my work and not blocking them, it's kind of double dipping. It's unethical. I should be blocking them.
You know what? I respect that. Honest views.
What happened was, but in between episodes tonight, we watched an episode of House Hunters International, and it was absolutely horrible travel blog couple, and we were obsessed with them, because it was like, the girl was the travel blogger, and then her boyfriend she had hired on as her assistant so he could move with her to Europe. And it was like, clearly I was surprised they didn't break up in the 4 months later jump of their new apartment. But we were like, oh, we got to see this blog. And so I looked at her blog, and we're like, she has no followers on any social media. And they're like, this is clear. This must be a front. And so Sarah was like, well, maybe she's getting ads, and so I turned off the ad blocker to see, but she wasn't. So I don't know how this girl's getting her money.
Damn, confusing.
But then again, her boyfriend said that his dad had just died, so I think she might be stealing from his dead dad to...
you got dead dad money.
Got that dead dad travel blog money. So what are we talking about again?
How this song sounds sonically to be of a higher quality than the rest of Buddha.
So anyways, if people haven't heard this song, we should talk about the lyrics, I guess. White girl living in the city in a big apartment house. Already that's kind of a funny opening, because I've seen a lot of people point...
White girl living in the city in a big apartment.
It makes me think of that, definitely. And also how I've seen a lot of people tweet that, like, if you want to be misogynistic on Twitter, you just add the word white to the front of it, and then you can say mean things about women now.
It's true. What freedom.
White girl living in the city in a big apartment house. She's living with her boyfriend now. She drives off every day for school and work. She washes dishes now and watches TV on the couch. Really bad lyrics, actually. Seems like someone who's just kind of imagined. It's like the punk version of when they ask a billionaire how much a gallon of milk costs, like on Succession or whatever.
Right.
Like, what is it like to be a suburban normie? You drive to school and work, and then you
live in a big apartment house.
you pull out the couch to watch TV. I think.
Yeah, because you don't. Yes, you want to. Yeah, it's where you sleep. Oh, and every day is just the same.
Every day you get the Murphy bed out to watch TV, to watch your stories.
Imagine how sick a Murphy bed would be.
I would love a Murphy bed. So then in the second verse, she moves back to the suburbs. She's finally found a man. So is that comparing the man to her boyfriend before? Like she's found a man who knows how to take care of her. They bought the perfect little house, and the lawns well manicured. Of course, lawns are canceled now. And she's never missed a day of work.
What is the lawn discourse that I've missed?
Well, I think because lawns are like really bad for the environment and like pretty much just flexing space that could be used for new. It's kind of like how golf courses are also canceled, I think.
Okay.
Just sort of any green grass, fuck it. not Praxis.
How that's? I mean, I'm not debating it, but it just seems like it's grass. How could it be bad?
I think
it's
what
nature.
it is really is the lawns are bad because of the grooming and like the water waste to get it.
Well, I do know
green.
grooming is bad.
Grooming is bad.
Yeah,
That's the other thing is like this. Talking about Ramones Core right now is so close aesthetically to Burger Records is the other like very strange thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's keep reading these dumbass
they made
lyrics.
a Burger Records joke on Chapo, the one that Dan Beckner did, which I had to.
Did
listen to
Dan make
because
it or did they?
No, Amber did.
Oh wow. I wonder-
And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, it's always like shocking to me whenever anything like truly cultural. That's not like Sopranos or like
You're like,
The
oh,
Expanse
other
or
people
whatever.
like punk too because it's like probably the most popular genre of music on earth.
Oh, that couldn't be. It's impossible.
No, everyone's a normie who has a well manicured lawn and never
God,
misses a day of
Amber.
work.
Yeah.
White girl couldn't go on knowing she was just here wasting time. She drowned in the lake last night. They found her bloated body floating. But she still walks around performing all her daily chores.
Ghost. Like a ghost cleaning lady.
A chore ghost. I mean, I would love that.
Did you like Chore? Did Chore like make it to the West Coast, or was that like strictly a Southern Ontario thing?
What's that now?
Chore, the band.
Oh, I thought you meant like the task of... Yeah, I mean, I do chores.
The task of cleaning. There's this sick... Oh, I have not thought about Chore in so long. Chore was like this like kind of post-hardcore band. They were on Sonic Onion. I think they were from Hamilton.
Sounds
and they had
not the best.
They had one song that was like always on the indie hour or whatever. Oh my god, they were so sick.
Yeah, that's like definitely like a band that you'd see on a like a hand-drawn flyer that has like vegan
exactly. It also
stuff on it.
I also just love the idea of like pre-internet, or I mean, like early days of the internet, absolutely impossible to Google name like Chore, but which is a sick band name. And in my mind, like the video was like a sort of camera rotating in a room, like basically.
I think Chore is a really bad band name, especially for this kind of band. Like when you say that it's a post-hardcore band from 90s Toronto, it makes me think of like a bunch of people living in a co-op and being passive-aggressive about sharing the chores. Whereas if it was like a mall punk band, then I would think about how parents are a drag, and then it becomes a good band name.
Okay, I get that. I'm going to send you this song, man, because this is like, it basically is like the cool punk version of the video for Everything to Everyone by Everclear, which is a fucking great song. Okay, put this in like some sort of tab for you to look later.
Well, why don't you just put it in Watch Together? We got time.
Oh, you want to just... Yeah, that's true. Oh, shit, I think I accidentally closed Watch Together, so...
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Good note. No, I got it. I put it in its own special little window so I wouldn't lose it. And then I did.
Warning.
Yeah.
Chore.
Oh.
Wow, gated hi-hat.
Yeah. I don't really remember the deeply gated. What
is happening?
No. I don't... Oh, yeah. This is like, I miss listening to bands like this. Like the new Hum record. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I never was into that band, so I never listened.
There's a great... Yeah. He kind of looks like you.
Sounds like Serial Joe also.
Serial Joe was sick.
I know, I'm not complaining. But it has like, it's like bluesy almost.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, Arms.
Yeah, this seems like some Small Man Records kind of shit.
Yeah. I think if they were from, like, Winnipeg, they would have been on Small Man. Because they were from Hamilton and they were on Sonic Onion.
There's something about the vocals that are bothering me, so I stopped it.
And it hurts me.
He's like, he almost did a bit of a yarl, but it wasn't. You have to fully commit to the yarl, but still, at the end of the day, I'd rather take a nasal pop punk voice.
Damn.
Also, the other weird thing is, I thought this whole time in my head, for some reason, maybe because he seems like us, actual Screeching Weasel, I thought that Tom DeLonge sang this cover. But
yeah, but when his voice comes in, and I think it's because I had just been listening to Quarantine. When he does the little backups, I'm like, oh, Tom. Like, I feel like I missed him.
Little guy.
Because we've been doing, like, Mark stuff, new stuff. I don't know. Just, I miss him.
Something's fucked up with my Genius page. And the ads are coming through also.
You are a fucked up genius, man. That's true.
I had to refresh it. It wasn't showing me the annotations. It was just showing me that there were some. So Village Fool 69 for the chorus. Every day is the same. This Village Fool 69, I believe an anime avi. Yep. It's an anime with extreme cleavage, and their user profile says bruh moment. So that bruh moment, Village Fool 69 has annotated this just a month ago to say, every day's the same, every day's the same, every day's the same. He's referring to the standard clock in, clock out type of workday, where the girl who lives in the big city in her apartment does everything repeatedly for her life, and every day just seems like the exact same thing over and over and over.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Reminds me of quarantine.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, right? Groundhog Day, buddy, huh?
But it's not loading. Can you see the annotation for verse 3? Do you have this?
No, I'm not getting any annotations. Maybe Genius is struggling to.
You're on the Genius page. It's not working.
Yeah, same. I'm seeing no annotations.
What the fuck? Oh, here we go.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at the Screeching Weasel lyrics.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's
Like
on the
not the Blink
right. I
version.
gotcha.
So you're right. Okay.
No, I think there's an ad in the way, and that's why it was just below. Everything's all fucked up here. I'm sorry. But on the verse 3 where the girl drowns, it says the girl, and it's capital G. So now she has a little bit more of
a character
identity. Yeah. The girl's depression and thoughts caught back up to her, making her contemplate if the lifestyle she was living was worth it. She committed suicide by drowning herself in the lake. Though gone, she still lives the repetitive life in spirit.
Damn,
okay, so poetry. She does die of suicide. I see now. White girl couldn't go on knowing she was just here wasting time.
Oh.
She drowned in the lake last night. I mean, that's a pretty dark way to try to die by suicide.
You're putting on a show.
That's a lot of work, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of cute, though, that she's still doing her chores after. I mean, I honestly think that everyone is prescribing or they're applying their own feelings about their own biases against chores onto her. But I think she kind of seems to like doing chores. If anything, a long day at the office, probably nice to just kind of unwind and fold some laundry and stuff.
Yeah.
Put on a pod.
Put on something, like an audiobook, a new Blink-182 song.
Put on Pod About List or even Blink-155, maybe exclusive. Maybe she was behind the paywall.
Oh, that's interesting. She was like, I wonder what they've got to say about the new Blink song.
Maybe,
thankfully, you can find out.
Maybe
patreon.com/Blink155pod.
Ultimately, no pod. Ultimately, I think every day feels like the same almost no matter what you're doing with your life. Maybe, if anything, this capital G girl was just pushed to the edge by so many people kind of wanting her to not be doing the same thing every day. But, I mean, what's the funny thing about, like, railing against the 9-to-5 lifestyle as a punker is, like, what does their day-to-day life look like? It's kind of like more part-time hours or...
Yeah, I mean, I think Ben Weasel's doing a lot of Twitch streaming, so, can relate to that.
That's a grind. No, that is a grind right there. Yeah. Is he a partner?
I don't know. I haven't checked.
Does he have any emotes?
Yeah. Authentic Weasel logo.
Just feel like someone's going to get mad at us about something.
I did, that's why I didn't feel good about any of it. But this is the difference. Is like it's not like with Screeching Weasel. Like this, I think I've talked about like the very important tape that I had made for me in the 7th grade before. But like there was a bunch of Screeching Weasel songs on this tape that like a cool older woman. I guess you can say girl in this instance because she was in the 8th grade. She was
a cool woman.
But, just like I feel like I'm just like trying to strike that from my vocabulary or whatever. But it's like a cool older girl.
The word girl is offensive.
A 30-year-old. Yeah. Well, just not trying to infantilize, So a cool older girl that I was like sort of grade 7 dating. It's like very sick. Made me a tape that was just called Punk, and it was like a bunch of like Answer That and Stay Fashionable era AFI, Jersey, like a bunch of local shit, like Trunk. And then like 2 or 3 Screeching Weasel songs, like My Right was on there. A couple, I don't remember what else, but I remember like My Right was like one of the first songs on this tape. And I was like, this is fucking sick. Because especially at that age, like because those songs are about like people fucking telling you what to do and you're like, no, that's exactly how you feel when you are 13. And so like I kind of like deeply got attached to a couple of those songs like very early on, and so it's like hard to let your talents out.
Right.
Like I wish that this was a better Screeching Weasel song. Oh, it's pretty good.
I think it works especially well as a Blink song.
Yeah.
I guess I also was like, I hadn't really listened to it. I was expecting it to be some sort of like porno type of thing because of the song name. I thought it was going to be some sort of horny, nasty thing, and so it wasn't that.
Because was Girl Next Door that was the Alicia Cuthbert porn star movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, I never saw it, but she's like the girl next door. She's like, oh, and it's Emile Hirsch. That's who the boy was.
What?
That's funny.
Is it? Can I just? We can edit this out. Is Emile Hirsch alive, or is it just that he plays the guy in Into the Wild and that guy dies?
Yeah, I think he was acting in that. It wasn't
Right,
actually.
okay, but I'm just saying, am I mixing him up with his character, or is he? Because you don't hear a lot from Emile.
I think he might be. He might have gotten in trouble for something recently, but I can't remember what. And I feel like we need to be a little bit. We need to at least read about what we're talking about before we talk about it.
I know.
Now,
Here, you could talk about something else, and I'll.
He is alive. To answer your question, he is alive. This movie is about a teenager's dreams come true when a former porn star moves in next door and they fall in love. Is what this movie's about.
And it's one of its stars, Emile Hirsch, attacked a Paramount executive at, I guess, Sundance. There's not a lot of other reasons to be at Town nightclub in Park City, Utah, in January 2015.
Well, Slam Dance. Maybe he's more indie.
That's true. Anyway, so he beat up a female Paramount executive at a club.
And Alicia Cuthbert is, of course, married to Dion Phaneuf, former Calgary Flame, who we saw at a party at the Junos in Calgary. That took place at the Arts Hotel when we first moved to Calgary.
Wow.
In 2000.
Wait, you saw Dion Phaneuf?
Dion Phaneuf was there. She wasn't there, but Dion Phaneuf was there. And Matt Babel from Much Music was there. And I think maybe Rick Temp. And also the janitor looked exactly like Mike Watt, which was kind of the best.
Oh, that's sick.
So.
That's very sick.
I feel like probably
Speaking
most
of,
janitors
former
do.
Much Music. Yeah, he has a very sort of custodial energy that he gives off. Anytime like Ashley and I are watching movies or TV shows, I'm always like the sort of a person who has a sort of desperate need to be like, is that so-and-so from whatever it is, like constantly? And like Ashley generally like has it's not a deficient like personality type that she has, but we're watching High Fidelity, like 2 seconds and she's like, is that Rainbow Sun Franks? And we were both like, there's no fucking way could it possibly be, and it is Rainbow Sun Franks.
I don't know who that is.
He was a Much Music VJ for like a cup of coffee.
That's like the most middle-aged man thing you've ever said. And also I just tried to search High Fidelity, and for some reason I just typed Happy Gilmore. I don't know why. I guess I just really want to watch Happy Gilmore right now. My body is telling you got to listen to your body sometimes.
Sometimes you got to listen to your body.
So wait, which person is from Much Music?
Rainbow Sun Franks.
Okay, is this the ex-boyfriend in that?
No. He's like he's the friend. He's got his girlfriend or his wife is pregnant.
Oh, that's her brother in it.
Right. Yeah.
Pay attention.
I'm 2 episodes in, man. I'm just mostly paying attention to the needle drops.
Right. Yeah. You got it. You're you're constantly Shazamming and pausing.
Oh, Shazam is putting in work while I'm watching High Fidelity.
What is Jackson 5? What the hell is this? I can't wait to hear this. Kind of a soulful.
Nothing compares to you. That's a deep thought.
Yeah. So I was expecting it to be some sort of like a porno type of thing, but this more just hates women for having the agency to work and build a life for themselves rather than for some sort of sexual reason. So is that better?
Do you think this was Ben Weasel early on recognizing that you couldn't just attack women? You had to at least say white girl, so people would be like, "Oh yeah, white women. That's a different thing."
Oh boy, this one's not coming out. I think.
No, should we just delete it and kind of...
Well, it is our first episode.
I'm definitely very
Before you get mad at us, remember, it is our first episode.
Right, we're just learning. We're learning how to do this.
Laughing and learning and loving. This is Blink-182 playing their little cover in 1995.
Aw.
I just want to go back.
Thanks, you guys are much too kind.
Man, do you know how, like, fucking...
Deep voice.
Alternative.
So
It's like alpha alternative. Like, it's like, it makes you seem like a cool skateboarder or like a guy who's on tour. To drink out of what looks like a 4-liter jug of
gallon.
Like where it looks you're drinking water, but it looks like you're drinking windshield wiper fluid. I've never done. I always like buy like a little mini Fiji water bottle when I'm on a road trip, or like get something like so expensive and stupid because I get like a Voss glass water bottle. I like to drink water like I'm an executive at a business meeting.
Yeah.
Not this like, but this is like the ultimate. It's like so cool to just like all of a sudden take a swig like you're in a desert.
Yeah, like this is, you need this. You need water to survive.
I mean,
I
it's
think
true.
it makes me just think of like, this is what all the like astonishingly huge dudes at the gym drink.
They bring a
they're just
jug like that?
Yeah, they're jug boys.
They bring a jug?
You've never seen it like a full on, just like, a canister of oil jug.
It's like, it's like restaurant grade. No.
Just housed by like two huge specimens.
No.
This is what they do.
They
Because you got to be, they're at the gym for like 8 hours. They got to keep their shit wet.
They don't do like a hydro flask or something? Something fancy?
What the fuck is that?
Oh my God. I'm hitting play.
How do you know that song?
We had to travel through New Mexico to get here. They have a secret alien base there. And Tom got abducted and probed.
I got probed by 20
Wow.
Nothing wrong with that.
How many guys have actually seen UFOs out here in Texas?
Origin
Anybody see
story.
UFO? Are you being serious? Fucking seriously. Because I'm fucking totally into UFOs. You ever seen a
Whoa.
Talk to Tom about it because he'll actually believe you.
Holy shit. That's pretty cool.
Consistency,
Shit.
man.
Let's do a cover.
You guys like Screeching Weasel? Here goes.
Really good chord progression, though, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, one of the best. Oh my God.
Oh man, we needed this for our relationship with Blink-182.
I love the idea of playing a cover that clearly no one in the audience knows also.
Yeah. I've always felt like alienated by that because I can never remember most songs. Unless it's like the hugest song ever, I'll probably forget it or like not figure it out till after. But when you go to like a hardcore show and they play the opening like hi-hat hits of a hardcore song and everyone piles around the singer because they know, it's like so
Yeah.
weird. I think,
That's why the only shit that Junior Battles covers is like Third Eye Blind and Kelly Clarkson.
yeah, you gotta be a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Scott is so good.
Yeah.
I think
Like he's doing, I don't even see, it's like he's doing double hits on the hi-hats. Like it's fucking fast.
people are doing really annoying walks before they crowd surf.
I think it's all the same person just doing the like, I'm walking out funny. Like it's definitely
yeah,
the
the
same
one, no one is enjoying it. I think Mark might be wearing an MXPX shirt.
Oh shit.
I really wonder what would have happened if Scott had stayed in the band. Would they have just like washed up?
I think it'd be over.
I don't know though, because like so many of the like they probably still would have made Enema exactly the same.
Yeah, but like, could they have sustained it after that? Like, Travis gave them like someone else for people to focus on.
That's true.
Like from a like, just large scale stay in people's minds, like pop standpoint. Like Travis is kind of more famous than Mark.
It's kind of like, I guess, imagining what would have happened if Mike Hunchback or Zach Poutine Brandner had never joined Screeching Weasel.
Yeah, just like, an impossible, impossible conjecture.
Oh, that was such a nice video. That made me so happy.
So sick. I feel like it's been a long time since we've done a song where there were like 90s live VHS recordings, and it's really fucking
This
great.
one's from 96. Let's watch another one. Oh, it's so blown out.
Tom's got his like short bleach blonde hair. They both do.
Yeah, they both look really cool.
Oh.
This very melancholy sounding melody in the chorus.
Yeah. Man, Tom DeLonge might be the cutest boy, eh?
Yeah, but Mark looks so
Look at that
cool
smile.
too. Mark looks like he's wearing like kind of like baggy, like kind of like the movie Kids or something style skate clothes. Which I was wearing clothes similar to that when I visited the Exclaim office one time, and my friend Matt Ritchie said that I looked like Robin Williams in Jack. Which is actually a very good look, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of your whole thing.
My whole vibe.
Wow.
Do we want to watch Screeching Weasel play it in 2018? Should we give him a little bit of stage time here, this guy?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm just curious.
He's wearing an orange Amps shirt. The song's a...
Oh, man. Just like watching these things that are like 4K videos from someone's phone, so distressing. Like, nothing looks good like this. It's such an unforgiving
Seriously.
quality.
And it's showing the audience, and they're so wet. And some guy's like... It looks like he's chewing tobacco. I wonder which guy is Mr. Poutine or whatever.
Oh, man. Ben Weasel does not look like he's enjoying himself particularly.
This video is so haunted. And also there's like 7 people in this band. No wonder their previous members list is so huge.
He's also kind of got the like smiley face sweat stains happening.
Yeah.
But the instead of the open mouth, it's just like the
Yeah, it's like kind of looks like a ghost.
Yeah, it's quite haunted. This person definitely has their phone right in Ben Weasel's face. Like, I don't think this is a zoom.
There's something about Is that the person filming turning on themselves? Oh my god, this audience. Holy shit. I don't even know how to describe it.
There's nothing you can say that isn't cruel.
Well, I've always said, if you don't have something nice to say,
Start a podcast.
I think, oh wow, that's such a badass thing to say. The logo on the drums reminds me of that like brand called Johnny Cupcakes that people used to wear shirts of, where it's like a cupcake with a skull and crossbones, but it's a cupcake instead of a skull.
Sick.
I think I'm realizing something here is that like, I think this is definitely more punk than Blink-182, and I think what's good about Blink-182 is all the things that makes them not punk.
Right, that's fair. I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, Screeching Weasel was on Lookout Records. They were on Asian Man Records. Like, they're put out albums, like, before, like, Fat and stuff. They were working with, like, legit, like, DIY person in their fucking garage type labels. And that, like, after, like, 2 seconds, that was not Blink, right?
Yeah, and I think, like, we talk about them wanting to do a throwback, and, of course, Quarantine is a bit of a throwback, but it's like... the things that are special about them are is the pop parts. And the people in Screeching Weasel, I think, for some reason think that pop music is like the cool kids, and they're so afraid of that, so they try to avoid it out. I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, because I guess this is still pop music, but it's just there's something about it that's like so rigidly trying to be badass in my mind.
Well, and I think like that's like sort of to me like a very Screeching Weasel specific thing. Like the thing about the actual Ramones is the Ramones, like those are 100% just like trying to be very sugary sweet pop songs. And I think like a band like Chixdiggit is more on the like kind of trying to like wink constantly and just see how fast you can do the kind of all like downstroke, playing, like those two simultaneous experiments happening at once. But I think like this doesn't have the like. It's sort of like the Ramones, like minus the kind of like, like early girl groups sound that is like the other fundamental underpinning. And so it's like, if you subtract that, you're kind of left with like just the aggression and
then it becomes scary. Then the lyrics become scary at that point.
Yeah, totally. Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Unfortunately, there's no nightcore of this song that I can find, but there are some covers. So why don't we watch a few cover videos and then fucking get on with our lives?
That seems like, I mean, I would like to leave this. I enjoyed it, but I'm just very concerned about some of the things I've said.
Here's
as always,
Deep Sitar's 8. This is from a battle of the bands. The band is called Every Night's Dream, and they're playing at Wilmington High School's Battle of the Bands in 2011. Did you guys won? That was an awesome, good job. There's one comment and there's no reply. So I'm thinking they probably didn't win. Maybe
didn't want to embarrass themselves. Yeah.
Poor guys.
Oh yes, this looks fake.
I love when there's just
it
looks like they tried. It looks like they tried to fill in the audience with not enough extras.
Yeah.
There's like one row of people.
After getting out of Will's basement over there for about the last 6 months.
Oh, Will.
We're going to look at the cover, and most of you probably don't know it, but it's we're covering Blink-182, who is covering a band called Screeching Weasel.
Nice little history lesson.
Yeah, cool story.
Oh, this is just like a band playing in the gym in front of the like velvet curtain, and just a lineup of like awkward teens standing in front of them. Oh, it's so sick. Yeah.
It is a really good lead, but I feel like on the Screeching Weasel version, the lead is kind of like doesn't have that nice buttery tone that Tom DeLonge gave it.
You want to melt it.
Is the
Hitting those hits?
is the one kid wearing a Fender shirt?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely like a parent bought that and was like, "You love guitar."
And at that age, he's like, "Yeah, I do. I'm gonna wear this.
This is my identity." Although it looks like they've got a Marshall head behind them. So,
Well,
if you love Fender so much, I'm just saying. Do you have an amp these days?
no,
or are you
I don't
just
have
like,
an amp. But I got a bass today.
I can't believe how much you're going to slap it. What kind of bass did you get?
I got a Squire, but it's a really, really nice one. I haven't posted it yet because it's a very, very early birthday present for me. My birthday's coming up. The pod is going to come out on my birthday. So.
Oh shit! You're 2 weeks, man.
Yeah. Hopefully that's the Tom DeLonge episode.
I still have the Canadian holidays on in my Google Calendar, and so your birthday is the same day as the Gold Cup Parade in Prince Edward Island. So congratulations to both.
I hate that. It always
having to share your birthday, and then
Yeah.
you don't get presents for both Gold Cup Parade and birthday.
Exactly. And it's on Follow Friday this year too. Okay, this is Almost There with an acoustic cover of the song. Look at this shallow depth of field. Focus on the fucking muscles.
This is what I'm hoping my hair is going to look like soon.
Ginger.
Haven't cut it. Haven't. Yeah. Ooh.
He's like so ginger that I couldn't tell if it was becoming sepia toned or not for a second.
I had that same. I think it did. Like, the aspect ratio just changed. Are they on a lake or something, or is it just like highway sound? What is
I
that?
feel like they're on a lake. Why is it about a white girl? Like, is it just like, is he recognizing that still the kind of this sort of doldrums, sort of the boredom of being so privileged that your life is predictable, is something that is mostly for upwardly mobile white people? So is it woke in that sense?
I think so.
Wow.
I'm sure that was the intention.
Such multitudes contained in this.
Are they like hanging off of some kind of dock here? No, they're on a highway. What the fuck is this? Are they on a lake or a road?
Well, what is a lake if not a road for
Are
fishes?
they on a bridge?
I think they're on
bridge.
both. I mean, it's a pretty simple concept. It's a bridge, Sam.
Oh, holy shit. You're telling me you could be on a road and be on a lake at the same time. I think it's like the way that it's colored. But like, in my mind, this is what Scotland always looks like.
Just like gingers playing acoustic versions of
Yeah.
songs that they shouldn't be.
Like, I don't know about that one. Scotland. Glasgow.
That was
Are there any
weird.
Scots in the nation?
They were like belting it out too much, I think. It made me feel weird.
People were honking.
Yeah. Are you talking about at my place right now?
No, it's they're belting. Is the
I
belter
thought you said
back?
honking because there's something really loud outside all day
Well, there are
today.
people honking in the music video.
Oh, well.
Like the cars on the road.
No,
were
but
honking at
I'm doing the
boys.
pod from a bridge on a lake right now.
Right,
in
okay,
Scotland.
So people are honking at you.
Yeah.
Scottish people are honking at you.
All right, this band I think we've posted before. This is Duct Tape.
Future idiots.
It's interesting when people...
What's up? We're Duct Tape, and we're going to cover The Girl Next Door. Originally by Screeching Weasel, although you may know it from the Blink-182 cover. They did a cover of it. Now we're
He seems like he's being forced to do an intro. He's mad about it.
Next Door.
Yeah.
He's not looking at the camera. He's like walking around.
Yeah. I don't know. He seems aggrieved.
He's dressed like a Kevin Smith character also.
Yeah. He's dressed like Kevin Smith. Or like Randall. Okay.
Just a two-piece though.
Yeah, Japan droids.
You listen to the Japan Droids live album, Sam?
No, just I fucking love Japan droids, but there are things that I will not do for love.
I like this version. The drums are awful, and the amp sounds
this
like
is
shit.
sick.
It's so good. I think these like Teen Basement covers are good because the water heater is always the extra member of the band.
Yeah, you didn't need to be a trio. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Man. White girls, am I
Duct
right?
tape. White girls.
Okay, this is Nice Lad 20 uploaded it. They're playing outside.
Oh. Yes, they just like pulled their car right up. They're just playing to their car.
This also looks like Scotland to me.
This is Scotland, right? Look how peaty that hill is.
It's very punchy sounding when you're outdoors.
Yeah, the big snare sound in this open Scottish field.
Someone said this
And
reminds
also,
me
like,
of
that car is like very British looking, or very
yeah, the
European.
plates.
This is God. Where is this?
Someone said this reminds me of Napoleon Dynamite. Oh wow, this is a video that's
Also-
done well, so people are fighting about punk in the comments.
Fuck yeah. Oh man, Nice Lad 20 who uploaded this video does not have their location on, but a lot of factors here. Did a bunch of Kaya's covers.
They're from Whitby.
What? Whitby, Ontario?
Whitby in England is a seaside town in Yorkshire, Northern England. So shout out to all of our Whitby listeners.
Sorry, can we watch them also covering Back to School by the Deftones?
Oh my God, this is so good.
Hill? But like, this is somehow 1 minute long.
This is so cool.
They just pulled into this fucking field and set up an amp.
It sounds so good.
It sounds sick. They obviously drove to this place for a reason.
Yeah, because it's fucking vibey as hell.
Girls, back to square now that. Oh, what a band. So, what's your favorite Deftones song?
I never really got into them either. I feel like all the bands that I like, people know by now. You know, I've said them all. And then
if you were to just like pull out at random, you're like, you know, I really do fuck with Primus. You know, like that would be an interesting new facet of your personality to explore.
Oh, what's this video? This is 1 hour long, and it's called "Screeching Weasel," the girl next door in quarantine. Is this going for an out? Oh, did they loop it? I think they looped it. Get it? Let's listen to the whole thing.
That's pretty funny, honestly.
How long do you think we could make it if we
just committed to it?
We could do the whole
I know
thing.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like, at this point, although realistically, 15 minutes probably?
If we were streaming right now,
oh, we would do it. I think we have to give ourselves permission to like get up to like use the facilities and like refresh our drinks, but otherwise,
you could hold it for an hour though.
I have to pee right now. I pee every like 5 minutes, man. My insides are like 80 years old, apparently.
All right, well, let's watch a couple more. That was pretty good, though. Nice little loop. Thank you, Alfred Hitchcock, I guess, is the avatar on that video. This is
Damn.
This one's going to be really bad because this is uploaded by somebody called Trampy and a Drunk Mouse is doing this cover.
Oh, no, man.
Song, it sounds a little different. 1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome living in the city in a big apartment house. She's living with her boyfriend now.
Well, no, there's just a still image for this. It's like a.
It almost looks like a V for Vendetta guy.
Yeah,
but it's
or
not.
kind of like the other one that's like enjoy a beer, like
Yeah,
that guy,
like the
you know?
1950s like art, where in the 90s
Yeah.
every greeting card had those 50s like married couples saying the C word on them for some reason.
Yeah. And it says 3 fucking tallies, thank you very much.
And then it says, lulz, I do it for them. Trampy and a Drunk Mouse. All right, that's enough of that. This is a bad vibe. Okay, this one is uploaded by Sythesia, Sythesia.
A Sith Lord.
I decided to do a rather poor acoustic cover of Screeching Weasel's The Girl Next Door. I hope you enjoy this. So they decided to make it rather poor all along. Interesting method. There's skateboards in the back, though, and I think it's in a basement.
No effects, Took.
Is that No Effects or not? I thought it was too, but I think
No,
it looks
what
like
is it
bespoke. Like it says, does it say your dad on the top?
No lib.
No lib. No libs. It's a hardcore leftist here. I like this touch. It sounds nice.
The sensitive punker has logged on.
I don't think you were trying to make it rather poor. Ooh, that chord.
Oh, capoed at just the right spot to make it sound good. That punk capo.
Damn, white girls. White girls love to live in the city and watch TV and wash dishes.
Oh.
This song is about a Karen.
When is this video from? This is like looks like it's recorded on a webcam from 1998.
2012.
Oh yeah.
I mostly just got my first guitar, which was a Future Shop Electric, and taught myself on that. And I've been singing since I was young. Future Shop, that's Canadian.
Ooh yeah. You didn't get Future Shop in the States? Where would you buy like
Best Buy, which bought Future Shop here.
televisions? Yeah.
Oh, their Facebook has been deleted. I can't see where they're from. But let's check out, instead of watching another cover of this fucking song, let's check out this user's last video, which is a song called Lost Sanctity from Name Pending. I don't know if the artist is, I think this is an original though. And look how much
Whoa.
more punk he is.
So I played this song a lot today and in the past few days.
Yeah, we've really watched them grow into their punkness. So leather jacket, it's covered in like pins, got some paint on it.
It's whatever.
You can hear that leather.
It's what it is.
Yeah, it's creaking.
It's catchy. I can't help it.
Oh, they're
Don't
apologizing for how catchy their song is.
blame the acoustic music machine.
Ew, I feel so uncomfortable.
Yeah, I don't like this confessional part of the video.
You see why? Get
Brianna.
the song fucking in here for fuck's sake.
I love you, Brianna. I love that he's like dressed. I guess this is like, is this what like a Frank Turner or whatever? I never heard anything.
Yeah.
Is that what that's like? Like a guy
Frank
who looks
Turner
like a
doesn't
punk?
Look this actually punk.
Like
Like,
this-
Frank Turner just looks like me.
Yeah, like
you
this
know?
guy's taking it to such an extreme where he looks like a 80s movie villain punk, kinda, and then he
Yeah,
he looks like he's
it's
from
like
a Death Wish sequel, but then he starts singing a Damien Rice song.
Yeah, it's like full on. Yeah, like Return of the Living Dead 7 extra.
Looking in a mirror, you don't owe me. I'm asking you.
This is
I
amazing.
want to know what they're up to. The fact that the Facebook has been deleted sucks. Like, don't you want to know?
Yeah.
What year is this from?
This one's from 5 years ago.
See, like, what? There's no way. Like, this person's probably still making music. Maybe they're in a band now. Who knows? I would like to know.
I feel like they're the caption is so bad. Like I feel like they're trying to be like a quirky influencer.
Yeah, you know that intro. I had to redo something like a Brazilian time. No.
That's what we do it a Brazilian times. I'm in one of those moods where everything's funny and I think I'm funny and I mess up the song from laughing or moving really silly or burping or something. No regrets.
Great influencer voice.
Ooh. Honestly, very talented person.
Yeah.
I
What was
really.
the username again?
The username was. It's like synesthesia basically, but SYTHESIA is the username on YouTube. I mean, I feel like this. I feel like it almost could have worked. You could have marketed this, especially if they're Canadian. Universal Music Canada could have bought this little boy's soul.
I know.
And I mean, he's dressed punk and he sounds like a soft crooner. My heart is melting over here.
Yeah. They have some really punk video from 8 years ago. The thumbnail is just the Bad Religion logo, and the title of the video is "God's a Serial Rapist."
What the fuck? Let's get out of here. Do I have to say final thoughts? I don't know.
Oh yeah, okay.
I guess
we're
my
done.
brief dalliance with Screeching Weasel has been somewhat interesting, and I'm happy to move on with my life.
Yeah, I'm glad this episode is kind of over. I think I was at least honest, and if nothing else, I can live with myself for that. This is actually one that I look forward to actually hearing what other people think, because I'm sure there are a lot of people that are that just like this band miss them for whatever reason that bands miss people, but
Taste, yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I genuinely mean this. I would be curious to know if there are other people that this conjures confused feelings for, and let's chat about it. Tomorrow's gonna be a fun day. A bunch of music coming out, and
Quarantine.
Erase my quarantine.
Welcome to Blink 155, my friend, my former fellow Calgarian, KJ from Chixdiggit. What's up?
How's it going, Josiah?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
I'm good, I think. Yeah, really good.
We already got rid of all of our small talk before I started, so
I I don't even know how to redo the small talk we just did. So
it's too much. It's too much. But I guess the first thing I want to ask you is like, how did you even hear of punk music, and how did you get into it when you were a kid or whatever?
Well, I had two older sisters, and one was kind of into what was on the radio, and the other one had gone to visit our cousins in Holland when she was 15. And I had a punk cousin who I'd never met, but my sister met. But she was like first wave Dutch punk, like saw the Sex Pistols, like, at the very beginning, like went, like stowed away on a boat to go to England to shows and stuff. Like she was like super crusty and awesome. And but she was getting into reggae. And so she gave my sister all her punk records that she didn't want anymore. So she brought them back, and that's kind of where I, first heard it and learned about it.
That's so cool. Like, what were the records?
Well, there was there was a Sex Pistols record, like the only Sex Pistols record, and Stranglers, and I'm trying to think. There's some other stuff like Ian Dury and the Blockheads, and I'm trying to remember them all. There was I think there was about 10 records that probably are worth a bunch of money now. And
did you get rid of them at some point?
I think I still have them. So I definitely have the Sex Pistols one still. I don't even...
Amazing.
Yeah. But, so that's kind of where I heard about it. She also brought a book back, and the book was called 1977, but kind of like superimposed over the 1977. It said 1988, but I don't know what the meaning of that was. But if you can find that book, it was pretty cool. And there was a woman on the cover named Sue Catwoman. Do you know who she is?
No.
And so she was like one of the original Sex Pistols crew. So that was like the first punk rock person that I ever saw too. And she had like this like kind of punk hairdo that looked like a cat kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Look her up.
Amazing.
Sue, Soo, Catwoman. And so.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah. So that's where.
I've seen her. I've seen this pic. I've seen her before. I just didn't know the name. And yeah. I'm past the point of pretending I've heard of things that I haven't heard of. I spent most of my life doing that, but I'm willing to admit that I haven't heard of someone. But I do recognize this picture. I do. I swear.
So yeah, no, it's pretty. She's pretty iconic. And so just as an aside, I know you asked a question, but as an aside, I was on tour by myself, like doing an acoustic thing in Europe, and I slept with some friends in Germany. And I woke up in the morning because when I went to bed, it was dark at their house. And when I woke up, there was a wall-size picture of this woman on the wall, Sue Catwoman. And I was like, hey, that's the first punk person I ever saw. And the girl said, oh, that's my mom. And so now I'm pen pals with her. We write to each other. So that's me name dropping someone you are pretending you heard of.
Perfect. Someone somewhere will be happy that these words were uttered, I'm sure.
Yeah, but Sue Catwoman was
so,
awesome. She's super, like, the coolest person I've ever met.
So how old are you at this point, or you've inherited this record collection?
I would be 8. Yeah, 8 years old, I think.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow. And then from there, like, then what happened to the point of like, how did you, I guess, because what I like about Chixdiggit is that it's the complete opposite of this kind of thing. It's not like the Sex Pistols, like you're not like dressing up in a costume. You're kind of like taking the, I don't know. Maybe we'll try to break it down in a second, but it kind of feels almost the opposite in a way where you're just like normal guys who are just kind of cracking jokes and playing sick songs. But it's not like did you ever like think that did you ever try to dress up like a Sex Pistol or something?
I was that year at Halloween. I wanted to be a punk. Like I wanted to dress as a punk for going to school, but I had to sort of negotiate with my parents because they were like, "No, you're not dressing as a punk," because it was like dangerous, right? It was like wanting to dress like, I don't know, like a juggalo or something now. Maybe that's a bad example, but
juggalos are cool.
But so I was like a punk vampire. So it was like punk Dracula or whatever. That was sort of like the compromise we came to. But what was the question you just asked?
I'm just curious, kind of like how did you get from that path to like Chixdiggit, where it doesn't feel so like costume. It doesn't feel like you're being a character so much as you're just like being yourself and cracking jokes through song.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I think it was just like wanting to do it. I think just seeing bands in high school and being like, "Fuck, I want to do that. That looks fun," and I think not being smart enough or savvy enough to come up with any other personalities or whatever.
Right. I mean, I guess, how do you feel about the term Ramones core? Because we've already said this a bunch on the episode because we're talking about Blink-182 covering Screeching Weasel and stuff. And it's kind of like a thing, usually with these kind of subgenres, the people who get lumped into it hate the term, but then everyone else just uses it. I mean, is that a term that you're aware of or care about?
Yeah, well, obviously I'm aware of it. I think, I don't know, like, I don't know if it really matters. I don't really care what, where we get lumped, It's nice just to be lumped nowadays. I mean, there's so much, like, shit out there. I think it's, even if people are talking shit about you, it's like, oh, it's nice that, somebody talked about me today. But, Ramones Core for us is kind of like the bands that just try and replicate that. And I think, like I'm, a fan of some of those bands, but the bands that I really like are the bands that sort of take the Ramones and add their own thing to it and then kind of make it, something new or whatever. Not really new, but, something that has its own sound somehow.
Yeah.
It's a kind of limited canvas, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think, when I think of Chixdiggit, maybe I could picture Jimmy wearing a leather jacket, but I don't see very many leather jackets when I close my eyes and picture Chixdiggit.
Well, you should come see us play in Italy. Everybody's wearing a leather jacket, I think, except us. We're the like the 4 people in the whole place that don't look like they're in a band, and that's kind of we've always sort of worn that as a badge of honor on our imaginary leather jackets.
Right. So when you started Chixdiggit though, like what were you trying? Were you trying to emulate something like in terms of the sound or the look?
I think, the Ramones, we all agreed on the Ramones, and nobody else wanted to write the songs, so I was writing the songs, and I really liked the Ramones. And so that was definitely the jumping off point. I think it was really based on, like, ability or inability, to play any other style of music. And I think it was kind of a combination of, nobody knowing how to play their instruments and, going through a pretty strong Ramones phase at the same time.
Right. And what about in terms of like something that I think you're really good at is writing songs that are funny but don't necessarily feel like Weird Al songs or something. Like, did you ever sit down and decide I need to add jokes to this song or something, or is it kind of just how you naturally write?
Well, thanks. But I think it, at the beginning it was just trying to make our friends laugh or make each other laugh, I guess. I don't know. I just try and, like, I don't even know what I try to do, but it's, I don't want to be like super jokey up there, but I also, I like writing songs. I want to write a perfect pop song, not necessarily Ramones core. And I think anybody that writes songs is trying to write a better song, and I think, as you get older, I guess it's a little bit less based on humor and more on like, having fun as opposed to making fun, I guess, maybe.
Right. I could see that. However, it does also seem like you're not the kind of band who's like, getting up there and having some sort of big sermon about something. And this week we've been talking about Screeching Weasel, and just kind of like some of the stuff that they've been doing live lately is like very like railing against quote unquote SJWs, or these kind of like, there is people who use this kind of what is very fun music to, whether it's a good or a bad message, they love to put a message in there. But I don't get that impression from the band called Chixdiggit.
No, we've always been like our band started to make fun of dudes in band. We all grew up with big sisters, and so it was like, these guys are fucking dicks. Like they're the football guys, but with guitars, and I know that now that I know a little bit more about the Ramones than I knew then. There's like Joey and Dee Dee Ramones fans, and then there's like the Johnny ones who are kind of like the dick Republican,
right?
And some of these like Screeching Weasel, I don't really know the guys. I just met Jughead last year, actually, who's I think not like that. He's a very like sweet, open, like he's an actor. He's like kind of an artist kind of guy. And are you like a Screeching Weasel fan? Or?
I've honestly never gotten into them, so I feel like I don't have a dog in the fight. Although I just kind of get the impression that it's kind of like all of this music to me, there is, even if it's pursuing the perfect pop song, it feels like it's still coming from a place of maybe, I don't want to say silliness, but just kind of like a place of fun, that it seems such an awkward way to try to ram like Republican identity into it.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at, it's actually kind of a good way to trick people into, that kind of thing, I guess, like, a spoonful of sugar or whatever. But,
right.
But, yeah, I think, like there are those guys, and it's funny, like we have fans that that I'm assuming are also Screeching Weasel fans that are really like, after a show, they'll be like, your drummer didn't play, he cheated on the hi-hat for like half third song. And it's just like, fucking, come on, man. Like, you're just here to have fun. And I was kind of hoping you would be too, but like, there's those people in the world, and the Ramones are a very simple kind of everything, like aesthetic, like the music's simple, everything's really, easy to sort of like corral or whatever in somebody who needs order in their funny little mind.
Yeah, it's very similar. I mean, we've been talking about Blink-182 for so long, and we've been talking about pop punk for so long in general, and each of these different subgenres have their own kind of like musical rules, and it becomes kind of like jazz in a way, where there's jazz standards, and then it's kind of what people do with it or how they deviate that gives it their own flair. And I think that's very interesting, but there are people who get too caught up in like the rigid rules of everything.
Yeah, I think that's just, that's just the way people are, right? Like that's just about everything. And
yeah,
whether like any kind of art or sports or anything that there's an opinion on, like it's like it has to fit in, they don't have any imagination or whatever. And, but yeah, I think, but like what sort of helped us all this time is that we, made fun of those people, and we made it sort of part of our fun, and that sort of helps. But really, it's a fucking drag, to be honest. If you focus on all that, it's like,
yeah, for sure. Well, I guess
people to your party all the time.
Yeah, that's so true. I guess the other like interesting thing is that you were in a band that was kind of like, borderline grunge era, borderline the explosion of pop punk. So, I mean, what kind of people were pursuing you, and were you shopped around major labels at some point? Did people try to get you to like sell out in some magical way?
Well, it was funny because our bass player Mike had said, because we were there was lots of rumors going around, and we were getting we got Geffen was interested. I have a scrapbook of business cards that we got of people that were interested, because everybody was getting signed, and
right.
So, and Sub Pop, our first record came out on, that was a major label, right? Because they were, owned by Warner at that point, and was
right
all Nirvana money or whatever. So, but there was all that, selling out talk, and we're like, well, we're not selling out, we're buying in. We're telling you guys that, and but there was a lot of really angry punk kids, and especially in Calgary, we got a lot of shit for, signing
to Sub Pop.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Looking back on it now, it's funny, but there was bands that we were friends with who were just you guys have changed, and
I think the amazing thing about Sub Pop is I'm pretty sure now, I could be wrong, but I think it's now it's 49% Warner and 51% indie, so it's an indie label now again, so everyone's fine with it. It's no problem.
There you go. Well, I guess our timing was just off, but. Yeah, I think it was a funny time. And Sub Pop had a lot of money, right? And so we were flying places to meet with radio people to play our to play our music on the radio, which is hilarious. And and then we would fly back 2 days later, and then they're like, "Yeah, can you fly down to St. Louis to have dinner with so and so?" We're like, "Yeah, sure, let's go." And then it was really funny. It probably cost them an arm and a leg for
right.
No benefit whatsoever.
Did you cross paths with Blink-182 ever?
Yeah, I think, not with, maybe. I think we started going down to San Diego, and they had gone to Australia when we were there, and that's when they kind of made it big.
Right.
And you ever have that thing where somebody's like, "Hey, you know what? You're just like my friend so-and-so. You guys would be such good friends," or whatever. And every time you hear that, you're just like, that's the last person I want to hang out with. I know that I'm not going to like that person.
Yeah. Not only that, you're going to be offended that your friend thought that you would like them, too.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I always
so
think.
People were saying, "Oh, man, you guys and the Blink guys would be friends," or whatever. And I think, maybe both of us were smart enough to know that. We would probably hate each other.
That's hilarious. But, I mean... go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we had lots of mutual friends and stuff down there. And, but maybe we ran into them. I don't know, because, I don't know, they just weren't on my radar. And neither was Screeching Weasel. Did you grow up in Calgary?
No, I grew up in Vancouver.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because here, there was no mention or anything. Nobody knew who Screeching Weasel was. And so I didn't learn about them until, way later. But same thing with Blink-182. I don't think they were a thing.
I guess probably back then too, it was so much dependent on just what your friends were into, right? It wasn't we all just collectively knew about the same things at the same time. We knew about the cousin band of that band that everyone liked or whatever.
Yeah, and records are expensive, right? So if you had your allowance or whatever, you're not going to just experiment. You're going to try and kind of stay within your comfort zone or whatever. Most people anyway. But they just weren't I didn't know anybody that knew them, and it's funny because when they came and did a reunion show, they went to Edmonton for whatever reason, but they never played Calgary. So, but anyway, they weren't on our radar. Neither was Blink-182. I think we were at that point we were on tour, right? So I wasn't really listening to music. It was more getting drunk and playing shows, I guess.
Right, but I guess the interesting thing about the whole era, obviously it's all interesting, just the boom of punk bands that are used to playing halls, getting signed, and then everything changing and, all the ups and downs. I think that a band like Blink-182 was so successful that they're now too big to fail, and kind of they still release records all the time, and they like are trying so hard to be like relevant in terms of mainstream standards of punk music. I'm just kind of curious, like, I guess first of all, do you ever like lay awake at night and be like, oh, I wish that Chixdiggit had signed with Geffen. We could have I could have been like a famous pop punk guy and be like, or I guess the flip side is, would it suck now to still have to be trying to maintain the same kind of like, for lack of a better word, relevance that you had in the 90s?
Yeah, I think, no, I am like, everything worked out exactly the way it should have. I don't want anything to have changed. Like, I'm happy with, like, we were super blessed, and we still get to do it. We still tour, and but it's not on a level where it has to be this fucking job, and it has to be this thing you like you said, lay awake at night about. It's something we do because we want to, because it's fun. But I have friends that have to do it, and when you have to do something that is, first of all, art, and second of all, something you love to do, you start to hate it. And your art starts to get shitty, I think, art starts to get shitty when you get old anyway, but, I don't know, it's the worst job in the world if you have to do it. And so, yeah, no, I do not lie awake at night and wish for anything else than what we got.
Right.
It's awesome, we, like, there's, no pressure, and we can just stop and everybody's fine with it, and we can keep going, and, but when you're at a level like that, and you got people working for you, and you got, probably some shit that you got to pay off, that you have to, be creative.
And
you're
trying to come up with a song that will go big on TikTok somehow or something.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's
I don't
so
know, man.
stressful.
That just sounds like kind of like a nightmare. But would it have been nice if we had been famous? Maybe for a bit, but I think now it would be like, I don't know. We had a few like epiphanies along the way, and I think one was seeing some friends of ours who I won't name. And when you hang out with somebody and you know them, and you've hung out on a level where you can just be yourself, and then you see them on Much Music and they're being all goofy and farting and burping and all this stuff just to sell records. It's kind of like, like I never ever want to be in that position, And I think that's the kind of stuff you have to do. I don't know anything about what Blink-182 has been up to since about 1996, maybe. But
right.
But I'm assuming
a lot's happened, KJ.
Yeah, I think a lot happened to those guys, and, But they deserve it too, because they, like they had all the stars aligned or whatever, So, but yeah, I don't want anybody else's problems.
Right. Are you still writing new Chixdiggit songs? Are you working on anything?
Oh yeah, like all the time. Like we have, I think we're gonna go in the studio when it's safe to do so, and
right.
But yeah, and I think we're still doing it, and we're still touring. Like we haven't stopped. It's just that we're doing it at a level that is comfortable for everybody, and that's how it should be. Like a band like us has to be fun, and if it's not fun, then it sucks. And it has been at times not fun, and we took breaks. And,
right.
But yeah, I just think being in a band because you have to be in a band. That's like my idea of hell.
It's hard enough to be in a band because you love doing it, I think.
Yeah, like I just don't understand. Like honestly, it's the shittiest job in the world if if you have to do it, like if you're being forced to do it, fuck, what a nightmare.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I've got one more question. I don't know if this is. I feel like you've told this before on another podcast, but if this is a hanging out in real person thing, I can just delete it. But is there something about Sub Pop and the Dumpster and your records or something like that?
Yeah. Well, I think. Well, basically what happened was we got dropped or whatever. And
from Sub Pop.
Yeah, and we signed with Honest Don's, which was like the Fat Records, one of their labels, I guess, at the time. And but we still had some friends at Sub Pop. There was it was like, I would say divided as it were with Chixdiggit in terms of Sub Pop. It was like either you hated them or you loved them. And so we had some friends there. One of our friends was leaving work one day, like a couple days after we were dropped, and the exit at the old Sub Pop was like you walked past the garbage cans kind of thing, and you could kind of see into him as you walked out, as I remember it anyway. And she looked down, and all of our vinyl records, like boxes of them, were in the garbage. So she climbed in there, grabbed them all out, and then FedExed them to us. So, and then we forgot about them. They were in our drummer Jason's garage for like 20 years. And then, and then vinyl records started to be worth something. And people were like, man, your record's like worth $100 or some crazy number. And I'm like, oh, really? You know what? I think we have a bunch of those. And then, so we brought them to Europe, and we were selling them for like 75 euros a piece. And we sold out the first show.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And we were like, yeah, we're like sleeping in a better hotel tonight, and we're going to eat like whatever we want. And thanks to Sub Pop, you know. But yeah, like
that's very crust punk of you to be dumpster diving like that.
Yeah, well, it was Kim, the singer of the band The Fastbacks. You know the Fastbacks?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did that for us. Like she's super awesome. But I remember people were opening them at the T-shirt booth, and we were like trying to breathe in the 1996 air from the original sealed records kind of thing. But yeah, that's a true story. They were all in the garbage.
That's so funny. And then did you guys also re-record that album or something?
Oh yeah, that was a nightmare. Like we kind of rushed it because I tried to buy records from Sub Pop because we were going on tour. I was like, hey, can I get some records to sell on tour? And they're like, yeah, they'll be $14.99 a piece. And I'm like,
oh my God.
And I'm like, I'm not fucking paying that. Fuck you guys. And then
just put them in your dumpster again.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we quickly re-recorded it, but I think we rushed it a little bit and didn't turn out as well as we'd planned. But
the reason for that was because of like Sub Pop. They still own that record or something.
Yeah, they own the copy of it or whatever, but they don't own the songs. So
right.
Yeah, so we were able to do that. But yeah, it was kind of a it didn't work out.
It's very funny to me. I think you're the only band in history to be on like such a prestigious indie label, and also like kind of in the Fat Records family. Like you've kind of been everywhere. I think it really makes Chixdiggit very unique in that sense.
Well, what's awesome is we don't fit in anywhere. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's the best part. So it's like it's like crashing a wedding, or something where you're like, who are these people? Wow, I don't get to hang out with these kind of people normally. This is kind of fun, But no, like in all honesty, like the Fat Records guys have always been super awesome with us. Like Mike has been like a supporter since the beginning. Like he was kind of, I don't know if you want to say hip to us, but he was like right at the beginning kind of thing. So yeah, I think, like that label's been, just kept us going, and they really are good people, and even the bands on there that we have toured with are like, yeah, it's like, I think there's another reason why people are successful for a reason, right?
Yeah. I was just we've been talking about Ben Weasel for so long, and I was like, I don't know what to say about this guy. He seems very macho, but then this song to me seems very sad. Like, how do you feel about this song?
Well, I only listened to it once, no, I think I listened to the Blink-182 song, and it sounds kind of like off of a Calgary compilation in 1991 or something. I don't know when they recorded that, but it sounds terrible. But the Screeching Weasel version sounds good. I listened to both. I did some homework for this, for crying out loud.
You did homework. I'm so sorry for brushing you.
Yeah,
I mostly wanted to talk to you about the dumpster. So you actually like the Screeching Weasel version better. That's funny because we were both kind of loving but I love like the kind of shitty lo-fi-ness of the Blink-182 version. Like you saying it sounds like a compilation from the 90s. That's my kind of thing for sure.
Okay, there you go. Well, then it sounds awesome. But But yeah, in terms of Screeching Weasel, like, I mean, we were supposed to play that Weasel Fest, whenever, and then Ben had punched out that woman from the stage, or two women.
Yeah.
You know about all that, right?
Yeah. It's complete, like, it's insane. It seems like a
totally
joke how ridiculous it is.
And it was like a month later we were supposed to be playing with them, and I'm like, we're not fucking playing with those guys. Like, come on. And then, he put out an apology, which I felt was kind of maybe missed the mark or whatever. And yeah, just did not, I think handle any of it the way, I think he should have. But yeah, I think it was kind of a moment I felt before that happened, before he'd done that, that all these bands, kind of like the cranky pop punk bands like the Queers and Screeching Weasel, were going to kind of come together with the happy pop punk bands like the Groovy Ghoulies and us and, everybody else. And it was going to kind of be like, okay, this is like we can all get along and everybody's friends, and it doesn't have to be the Johnny punks versus the DD punks. And then he fucking does that. It was just like, okay, never mind. It's never going to happen. But yeah, so yeah, I've never met that guy, and I don't know. I'm sure the feeling's mutual, but I don't think I want to.
He doesn't seem. I mean, I just haven't listened to him too much, but I get the impression that, like, for a certain group of people, he's like the god of writing these kind of songs. And I've only heard a couple of his songs, but I mean, does this song strike you as a particularly well-written pop punk song?
Well, I would say that, it's like the band is good, like the energy is there. And I think he seems to be a good lyric writer, for a certain style, I guess, but yeah, I think, it's like there's so many bands out there, and when somebody kind of behaves a certain way, it kind of makes their band not lovable anymore or whatever, and there's certain bands, that I just can't listen to because, I've met some of the guys in the bands or girls, and they're just not nice people, but mostly guys. Right. And right. But yeah, so I mean, and it's too bad because I met Jughead last year, and the guy's a total sweetheart, Right. And so, and I've met other guys that have been in the band, and they're great guys. But yeah, it's just
pretty much half of North America has been in Screeching Weasel. It looks like on Wikipedia.
Yeah, and
a huge lineup. Yeah, Chixdiggit is most of Calgary and Kapiguli.
Yeah. But yeah, it's too bad. I think, yeah, there's all this. But I think he used the word macho before, and it's kind of this weird macho thing that is part of that genre or whatever, and it's just what we've never been about, and it, we recoil anytime we sort of even, sense it or whatever, So that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
And then there's that whole "it's not the band I hate, it's their fans," and it's like. We have a lot of people that like us that like Screeching Weasel, and they're just open-minded people or whatever. But some of the fans are just like really angry, the shit they write on the internet and stuff. So I just don't even go on the message boards probably since the 90s.
So, I mean, I take it you probably haven't listened to very much Blink-182, but I mean, other than the recording sounding shitty, did anything stand out to you about their performance of the song?
The first thing that I thought was like, I don't think this is the drummer that they have now.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Okay, there's a different stuff. I think that stood out. I think, but you know what? Like, all I know about Blink-182 is sort of like the video stuff. Like the scratching the surface or whatever. But I always thought those guys were really funny. Like the one guy who believes in UFOs or whatever. That guy.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, I think he's funny. Like, he seems like a really funny guy. And
yeah, I think you guys would really hit it off. I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, well, I think you guys would hit it off. And it's funny, Billy, who's been in the band Chixdiggit for probably 4 years now. He is a spitting rep, or visually a spitting image of the bass player guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Of Mark Hoppus?
Yeah, I guess.
From Blink-182? Oh my God. I got to see. That's hilarious. Is he from Calgary?
Yeah. Well, I think he's originally from the Northwest
looking
Territories. But yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of see it.
Yeah. Well,
Kind of see it.
There's pictures of him where it's a little bit more.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just because Screeching Weasel is such a cult band, I always expect to, even not knowing all of the context and all of the shitty stuff that's happened, I always expect that I'll be able to hear it, but it just has never connected with me. But I guess that's like everything, right? Everything's so subjective.
Yeah, I think, and it's okay. I mean, and maybe one day you'll connect with it. Who knows, right? But yeah, I think
after reading everything that's happened and learning everything, I'll be like, I'm gonna check him out. Actually,
yeah, I'm really curious about this guy. But yeah, I think, and it's too bad for the other guys in the band too. I think that get lumped in with that, because I think there's Dan Vapid, who I've met, was also in Screeching Weasel. I think, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's on the list. There's a bunch of guys whose names seem fake. There's somebody named Johnny Personality who was in Screeching Weasel.
I don't think he's from the Connecticut Personalities. I think he made that up. But yeah, I think but Vapid's a really nice guy, and I really like the songs that he writes, and I like sort of where he comes from. He just seems like a sweet guy, And maybe I'm wrong about Ben Weasel. I don't know, but.
You mentioned that you like the energy and the feel of it. So I guess that's maybe there are people who haven't listened to enough of this style of Ramones influenced music that they can, maybe at first it all sounds the same to some people. What is it? What are the nuances that stand out to you where you're like, oh, this is a good kind of 3-chord pop punk song and this one's not as good? What are the things that you really appreciate in them?
Well, I think, melody. I think in any song you would kind of be like, oh, I really like this song. It's kind of, I like what they did there. It sounds cool, or I didn't expect that, or whatever. I didn't expect that in a good way. But yeah, I think I think the way it's played, and I think that's the thing about this, because like I said before, it's a really simple sort of canvas or whatever, and there's only a few things you're allowed to do. So to do those and make it sound good, or and have energy, and really, if I knew the full answer to this, I think I could probably make some money with my but yeah, I think just, you can tell the guys are playing together well, and I think that's a big part of it. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Good drummer.
It's just okay. I mean, I actually love the old Blink drummer more than the new one, to be honest. Because the new one is too much of a hot shot. It bugs me, distracts me.
Well, I think he's a pro drummer. He's maybe born to do it. Whereas I have a feeling the other two guys kind of talk the other guy into it. Maybe, hey, you should be a drummer. You got a van and your mom's got to let us practice in the basement or something, maybe.
I have a good question, which is something I've thought about a lot before, and I asked Fat Mike this once, and he got really offended, actually, so it's kind of funny. But what about the idea that punk is a youth movement? And you kind of said earlier that your music gets worse as you get older. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I mean, do you think that this is a youth movement, or do you think that everyone is just a repressed teenager now going on a Screeching Weasel message board anyways, no matter how old they are?
Well, I think there's a lot of elements to it. There's the message board part of it, and I think that's probably a youth thing. Because I think when you get older, you don't really care. It's more you're more into your own, at least me anyway. But I think the music part, I think if you like the music, then you like the music. I don't think it matters, and I think, the not liking authority, I don't think that goes away. I don't know, what are the other elements of punk music, because some of them go away.
That's another philosophical question that's hard to exactly figure out. I mean, how is Chixdiggit in the same world as the Sex Pistols? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I guess it doesn't really matter. I mean, if somebody else wants to figure that out, that's good. But for me, it's just like, I like the music, and I like, I'm kind of into songs that are well written. And if the shitty Blink 182 drummer plays them versus the good Blink 182 drummer, doesn't really matter. A good song is a good song, right? And maybe that is to answer your question, because the song didn't catch me so much when Blink 182 played it, but it caught me more when the Screeching Weasel band played it.
Right.
So maybe it's not a good song.
Right, because it doesn't transcend the form.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't listened to it enough for it to, but I'm just supposing.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the only thing that I remember from it is I do like the lead guitar riff, but other than that, it seemed pretty, kind of generic.
Yeah, I think every band has a good song in there. That maybe aren't so good.
Ain't that the truth? All right, KJ. Well, I think we've, unless there's anything in your research journey that you need to share, I think we've hammered it home, perhaps.
My research journey started 4 minutes before you called. So there's not much more to talk about. But it's awesome to talk to you, and I'm glad you guys are doing great and everything. And thanks for having. I've been reading. You mentioned your podcast. I haven't actually listened to your podcast, but I'm excited because I think I'm going to be on it.
I think, yeah, you are. You
I made it.
Are. You're on it right now. You've made it.
All right, I made it on. Okay, awesome. Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been awesome. I don't know if there's anything you want to add, or if you want anyone to check anything out, but feel free to plug whatever.
No, don't check anything out. But
check out subpop.com.
Yeah, check out their garbage. Actually, I would I would check out Sub Pop's garbage.